Yes, people, we are live on the YouTube. So let's get that public chat open. Nice one. Welcome anyone who is here to another episode of the Friday Night Blues featuring myself, Matt from the Stamford Sink, and my good friend Kai from Behind the Dugouts. Kai, how's it going, bro?
Yes, it's going good, man. It's going good. Not too bad. Can't complain. What about you?
Yeah, I'm all right, man. Yeah, I'm all right. It's been a weird one recently, hasn't it? Because like we've just gone from this really like crazy moment with obviously the Maresca thing, and yes, big up Daniel Knight, welcome to the chat, bro. But yeah, we've just gone through obviously the Maresca stuff, and then obviously all of the losses before that, and then all the news and Rosenior's come in, and now we're a few games in already. And like, what's it? That's his
Yeah,
fourth game in charge now. Do you know what I mean? It's just all turned around so quickly, isn't it?
mate, we're at the end of Jan already.
Yeah,
Like, it's 2026 is going to fly just as fast as every other year's go. It's going, it's quick, and it's mad how fast again with this time period we're getting game after game after game, like 2-3 games a week.
mm,
So he's in the hot seat and he's coming quickly.
yeah,
But he's played a lot of games already, which
yeah,
is,
man.
well,
Yeah,
not played
yeah,
himself, but coached a lot of games already. It is crazy, but
yeah. It feels like
here we
there's
are.
kind of a new issue every game at the moment as well, doesn't it? So even though we're 4 games in now, it still feels like we haven't really been able to see what the plan is and what the idea is. And I don't necessarily think that's all his fault. Do you know what I mean? The injuries, the sickness and the illness and stuff as well. Do you know what I
Mm.
mean? So let's. I've got a couple of things I want to talk about today. I want to talk about the Paphos game a little bit because I didn't actually manage to get a review out for that one. I want to talk about Rosenior and what you're thinking about his setups and tactics thus far, albeit only 4 games in. I want to talk about transfers, a little bit about the Jeremy Jacquet, the nonsense surrounding him, and a little bit about obviously Douglas Luiz today that is definitely coming out a bit more. I want to talk a bit about Cole Palmer because there's been a lot of crazy news going around
Mm.
at him the last couple of days, and we'll finish up with a bit about Crystal Palace, how we rate our chances, what's going on with them compared to what's going on with us, and maybe some sort of predictions about predicted 11 and stuff. So we'll start with Paphos, man. So you obviously did your match review for Paphos. I think we've both got very similar feelings about how the game went, actually. But just talk to me about the Paphos game.
Yeah, look, and I think it's not going to be the last game we saw like this, at least for the time being. But the football itself, on the whole,
Mm-hmm.
is just dead. It's it was probably for me one of the most frustrating and boring games I've watched for a long, long time, especially this season. And it's not just because of the way that we're playing, how we set up. I have to admit, and I said this in my review, Pathos defending in that game was absolutely ridiculous. The last ditch tackles, the blocks,
Mate, the
they were in the
goalkeeper.
way of every. The keeper turned into
The
Prime
keeper.
Neuer. It was
Oh, nuts.
ridiculous.
Yeah, it was crazy.
And it did make it very frustrating because we got into some really good positions. Obviously, we had
Mm-hmm.
the Enzo goal ruled out, which was quite early on, which had
Yeah.
that had gone, counted, I think it would have been a bit of a different game.
Mm-hmm.
But once they got the confidence of that goal not coming in, which it's a slight soft one, but you see him given all the time. It's a little push in the back. But it's the same thing about the low block. But the only thing this time, and again, it's another team that we're expected to beat, we did manage to get over the line this time. We did manage to get 3 points. So fair play to them for doing that, because I think my review would have been on a different tone had we had not done that.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's still frustrating. But I can't look too much into Rosenior yet.
No.
It's way too early for me to give any indication of his style, his tactics. 4 games in, and yes, he's had more training sessions, but they need games to implement certain things.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of overlap in fullbacks, which is nice to see. The wingers look players that were a little bit out of favour. Even Jorgensen looks a bit more confident.
Yeah.
Gittins, when he come on his little cameo, he looks a bit more confident, and this could be from Liam coming in, and now they've got a different manager.
Yeah.
But can they sustain it, and will they actually improve on it? That's what I'm hoping is
Yeah,
going to happen.
100%, man. I agree with you. We can't pick apart Liam Rosenior's tactical nuance too much at the moment, but I think there are narratives and stories that are already developing over the couple of games we've seen. Vis-a-vis the Paphos game for me, like I say, man, it was obviously a really, really boring game, but where I'm at is we have seen us play games like that before that we have failed to get results from under Maresca and the team the way it was and stuff. So It's a small thing, and I know, but at the end of the day, like how many low blocks have, and not even just since Maresca actually, but just for such a long time now, how many low blocks have we seen a struggle to get past? We couldn't get more than 2 points out of Bournemouth, like Crystal Palace at
Yeah.
the start of the season, Brentford earlier, not the most recent one, earlier. Do you know what I mean? We've been put up against that low block so many times and look completely devoid of ideas, but something happened and we got through, and I was generally sat there for the majority of the game. Like, obviously it was a shame about the Enzo goal and stuff, and I was like, oh no, here we are again. But I think the thing is, it's not even just about tactics when it comes to a low block. It's about spirit and the intangibles and the players' abilities to keep on going, even though it's getting difficult, it's getting tough to try and
Yeah.
keep that. So that I think has to be credited to Liam Rosenior in itself, like to having the spirit to keep on going and trying to unlock it. What was it? It was like 60, 70 minutes or something. The goal, wasn't it? It was like
Yeah, it was quite late on. It
quite
was,
late on.
yeah.
So there were opportunities and stuff. Look, mate, at the end of the day, their goalkeeper was unreal, man. I've never seen this
He had an
goalkeeper
absolute
in my
blinder.
life, and he was unbelievable. Some of those saves he was making, I was like, how has he kept
The
that out?
Caicedo one on the penalty box
Yeah,
was
yeah,
a joke.
yeah, yeah,
Because not only is it from so close,
yeah,
he had like 3, 4 players in front of him, and
yeah,
he still managed to get a foot on it. Like, yeah, he had an absolute blinder. And
yeah,
to
man.
be fair, the defenders. And again, when you're coming up against teams that you're expected to beat, and your talent of and quality of player that on your side is, the levels is different
Yeah,
compared to the Paphos team. They make up for it with their work rate, their determination, their spirit, and they showed it that night. They literally threw their body on the line for everything.
yeah, man. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
But
yeah,
we
yeah.
did manage to, and the main thing is we did manage to get through. And Caicedo did get that goal, and we come away with the 3 points, and put ourselves in a reasonably good position. It's in
Yeah,
our hands now.
yeah, 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 definitely.
It's in our hands to qualify, completely without having to have the extra games. So we've got a tough game, but
Yeah.
it could have been a lot worse.
I think so. I didn't. Did you see Napoli's last result, by the way, in the Champions League? Because before that, they'd
No.
only won one game. So we're
Did they draw?
I can't remember. If you could have a little look for us,
I'll have a
that'd be
look, yeah.
cool. Yeah, sweet. So yeah, with the Napoli game, and like you said, the most important thing there is like. Yes, it was a game that we were expected to win, and ultimately we've struggled to win a lot of games we've been expected to win for a while now.
They drew.
So what's the Napoli situation saying?
They drew 1-1 to Copenhagen.
So they've only beaten one team in the Champions League so far, and they have played lots of opposition that they absolutely should have been beating.
Yeah.
So going into the Napoli game, if we win the Palace game, which is something we'll get onto a little bit later, we will be on 3-3. Do you know what I mean? And what's that, 4-5 since Rosenior will have taken over. So we'll be on good form. They will have only won one game in the Champions League, and they've also got Juventus 3 days before in what I believe is a 6-pointer for them in Serie A as well. And we will have the narrative advantage going into that game. Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't say they'd be underdogs because you can't write off Conte. That's just the truth. There's going to be a lot of stuff like obviously Conte and Lukaku. There's the Chelsea connection there. They've got Rasmus Højlund and Scott McTominay. Do you know what I mean? Who have got Premier League. They'll want to prove themselves against a Premier League team. Absolutely. And it will be a big game. Do you know what I mean? 100% it will be a big game. Although Diego Costa's come out recently talking about how much everyone hated Antonio Conte when he was the Chelsea manager. I thought that was quite funny. But yeah, so, I think the Paphos win puts us in a good stead, more than just the fact that we won the game. Like, we lost to Atalanta and Bayern Munich, but we won all of our other games reasonably well. I think it was Benfica and Ajax and obviously now Paphos. Do you know what I mean? So we've got a reasonably good win percentage in the Champions League, and in terms of going into that game specifically against Napoli, I do feel like the narrative kind of benefits us. And like I say, their focus will bearing in mind, I mean, where are they they must be pretty far down in the Champions League standings. So you would have thought that their focus will be on the Juventus game, which, like I say, is a 6-pointer for top 4, I think, a few days before. So, I think things are looking good, man. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I mean, they're out of the playoffs at the moment.
Yeah.
So, there'll be a bit on the line for them to get in the playoffs by trying to beat us. But the thing with Chelsea, and I think 99.9%, if not all percentage of fans will agree, cup competitions are made for us. So
Yeah.
when we're going into any cup game, whether it's a final, round 16 or a group stage, I feel more confident in a cup game than I do in the league games. And we do tend to turn up on the big occasions in terms of against the bigger teams. You know, Napoli is not going to
Yeah.
be a team that we're expected to beat. You know,
Yeah.
we know it's gonna be a team that's gonna be tough with a lot of narratives behind, and in theory we should beat them. But it is one of those, you know, those bigger clubs, those bigger games, and we tend to turn up. So I don't think that's going to change.
So I think that in itself is an interesting narrative point, where it's like that Chelsea turning up against big teams is something we've seen quite a lot when Maresca's been in charge, and this is something I'll be interested to see. Is that something that we can attribute to the squad, or was that something that Maresca in particular was quite good at? One quick thing. Welcome Waves K4R. Conte has never cared about the UCL. That is another point I was actually just thinking about as well.
True.
Like Conte's never had a really good Champions League campaign. Do you know what I mean?
No.
He's almost like the opposite, isn't he? Like we're a cup team and he's a league guy. Do you know what I mean? He's
Yeah,
good
yeah.
at grinding out results over 30 odd games or whatever. But yeah, definitely interesting point there. So I feel good about it, man. Do you know what I mean? I definitely don't think we're going into that game like unbelievably worried. Do you know what I mean? It would be great
No.
if, you know, for me the best thing that can happen obviously is to get the win against Crystal Palace that we've got coming up, and that will. But even if we don't, I still think we go into that game favourites, and like I say, the narrative I think supports us. So let's talk a little bit about Liam Rosenior. Now I know we can't completely pull apart his tactics. Do you know what I mean? But I
Yeah.
do want to find out from your perspective. We've got 4 games now, 4 games with Liam Rosenior in charge. Do you see anything that you think is better or worse than when Maresca was in charge, even if it's just small things at the moment?
Yeah, well, I mentioned it a minute ago about the players that were on the fringe that didn't look like they were confident and were really, when they were coming on, they were really, really poor.
Yeah.
You know, the Jorgensens, I mean, how many stinkers did he have? Gittins had the odd decent-ish performance, but looked absolutely terrible 99% of the time. You know, even the likes of Garnacho, who for me performances need to be better, but the work off the ball and what he's doing when he's not on the ball, he seems to be working a lot harder. So the one thing, and is this the new manager bounce, or is this actually Rosenior instilling this into it? But I can see that there are players in there that want to be in the first team, that are trying to prove themselves, which he's good, and he's encouraging it. You know, press conference after press conference, he's encouraging it. Training, he's clapping. He's got his gloves off. He's clapping, and on, you know, you see him on the sideline. He is encouraging. You know, he's communicating with them. I found sometimes Maresca didn't communicate much with the team on the sideline. It was a
Yeah, that's
very
true.
stern kind of look. So, you know, for me, from the looks of it and the sounds of it, he looks to be quite a good man manager,
Yeah.
or kid manager in this point of view, which it could be a positive. You know, I could see someone in the comments there like Hatto is one for me who was barely seeing a blade of grass,
Mate.
but he looks probably
Yeah.
one of, you know, in the last few games, quality. He looks
Yeah.
really like
Mate,
an absolute stand of a backup to Cucurella, which potentially could go even further as time goes on.
there was rumours about him going back to Ajax, man, on loan
Yeah.
in the January, because
Exactly.
he just wasn't getting any game time. And this is something we talked
Yeah.
about. You know, Yoro Hato got given a chance straight away. Do you know what I mean? Even under Callum
Yeah.
McFarlane. Do you know what I mean? Before
Yeah.
Rosenior had even come in, he was getting chances. And yeah, 100% to kind of back off what you're saying. Like, we're seeing Yoro Hato, Andre Santos getting more opportunities.
Freedom.
Yeah. Even
I mean, even Gusto said it, didn't he?
yeah, that's true.
They're having playing with more freedom, which
Yeah.
we have said many times.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to cut you off.
No,
That
that's right.
we
that's
feel
right.
like they're shackled a lot of our players into a system based way of playing, and now maybe we're seeing players take the next step because they're allowed to be a bit more free,
Yeah.
which is going to be interesting if what Palmer does when he is fit again.
I 100% agree, man. I think one of one of the things that got found out about Maresca, and this is something I've said before, we were warned about with Leicester fans, was his like dogmatic approach to his tactics, and he was just completely unwilling to change stuff. And we also talk about it. We've talked about it a few times with Cole Palmer. Like when we beat PSG, we attribute a lot of that tactical success to Maresca, but the truth of the fact is, like Cole Palmer literally came out and said it in his post-match interview. It wasn't working. I took the game by the scruff of the neck and, do you know what I mean, just kind of started playing a bit more free. So if Rosenior has come out and said himself that his tactics aren't a million miles away from Maresca's at the end of the day, but if Rosenior can maintain the basics of the tactics, where it's like, okay, possession and build up from the back, but also offer players a bit more freedom, like I think it's interesting that we've seen Cole Palmer come off the right a few times since Rosenior's come in.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And that's already like in an effort to get him some more freedom. And then your likes of your Malagusto, your Josh Achiampong, your Reece James, whatever, they're covering that byline. Do you know what I mean? Sticking the wingers to the byline is something that seems to have changed already. So Daniel, just to let you know about your comments, we will be talking much more in depth about Cole Palmer and the transfer window a little bit later in the pod. So don't worry about that. And I just want to highlight this from Waves again. Great comment. Hato had zero confidence a month ago. Liam trusted him and he's had 2 very good games. And weak opponents, but you can only beat who's in front of you. So yeah, exactly, man. I think that's the thing already, isn't it? Like, Maresca was supposedly the yes man. Do you know what I mean? This is what we hear a lot, but at the same time, he wasn't, you know, we hear all of this stuff like, Maresca was being told who to play, and it's like, well, it's not really being told who to play. It's like Maresca was refusing to play a lot of players that we have in the squad, and then complaining about his squad not being good enough when he wasn't trying to develop the players that were there at the end of the day. Do you know what I mean? So it's like Yoro Hato was just sat there doing nothing, and you know he must have played 3 or 4 games for us, something like that. And you know he had a good performance here, a bad performance there. Do you know what I mean? And was just getting nothing in the way of consistency. Yoro Hato already looks 10 times the player than he was. Another quick comment from Waves again. My only critique of Maresca was that he valued his trust way too highly. Hato, 1 bad game gone. Vega, 1 bad game gone. Hopefully Liam's a little bit more fair. I 100% agree with that as well, because look, you know, you can talk about the model or whatever, whether you like it or not. Irrespective, it's here, and we've got these young players. If you're not going to develop the players, then you've got no chance, have you? Because it's like he basically handcuffed himself and made his squad smaller than it actually is because he wasn't willing to use these players and give them opportunities. I think Andre Santos is another great example, actually.
Yeah.
Albeit, Santos saw a lot more game time than the likes of Yoro Hato did, for instance. But look at the difference that we're seeing in Andre Santos now.
Yeah.
6 games after Maresca left, and he's played in almost every single one and been pretty good. Do you know what I mean? For the most part, transformative in some. And Maresca, for some reason, although Andre Santos was there and available, he's like, no, do you know what? I'm going to play Caicedo again. Even though he probably doesn't need to play this game, I'm going to play Enzo Fernandez again. So, yeah, Kai, what do you think about... you talked about it a little bit already, but have you got anything to add vis-a-vis Liam Rosenior giving more opportunities and developing the youngsters that we've got?
No, I think it's going to be good. At the end of the day, he's got to use what he's given. You know, he's been provided tools, and we can discuss and debate the quality of these tools. Of course, you're only as good as your tools. Yeah. But what you can't do is not use them and then complain about it. Yeah. You've got to use, because how do you know what a player's going to produce without using it? And football is a consistent, and you've got to play to build up momentum and things like that. And we've talked about this many times on the Blue Lounge back at the beginning of the season, that yes, the rotation still frustrates me, and I can see that that's definitely one thing Liam is still going to do. But what he's not doing is he's not excluding anyone from that rotation. So we are seeing these other players like Hatto's coming on. They're not doing 1 game and then disappearing for 7 and then coming back and trying to do, and then we wonder why their performances are so shoddy. He's now building up some consistency, building up some momentum in his game. Santos is going to be one I think is going to reap the rewards, and boy, do we need it. Because the midfield is Enzo and Caicedo, and that's about it. So Santos bringing into the fold, we're seeing some good games from him, so it's going to be good. But the freedom I like, the tactical side, again, I can't say anything on it yet. For me, I'm going to give him till January. Then by the end of Jan, we'll be 9 games in. I should see something. We've seen little bits, but it's hard to attribute that to Is it the players because they've been given freedom? Then they're choosing to do this. They're choosing to peel out and overload on the one side, or the fullbacks are choosing to overlap instead of underlap or invert. Or is it actually Rosenior going, no, I want you to overlap more rather than invert inside the midfield? We'll know that
Yeah.
9 games in, 100%.
I think there's some indication to say that we're already seeing a little bit of that, though. And you kind of mentioned it earlier when you were talking about him. It's like he's on the touchline, barking
Yeah.
at players and instruction and stuff. We're seeing notes being written and sent out. Do you know what I mean? So I don't think that's in order to, the players are not doing exactly what he wants them to do. And he's, you know what I mean? I think that he is already having a big hand in what he wants the players to do, but he's also giving them that freedom at the same time. So you're 100% right, man. When we're 9 games in, like, honestly, from my perspective as a Chelsea fan, I'm happy for us to win this next run of games ugly. Do you know what I mean? I'm not expecting him to come in and just completely and Maresca didn't. Do you know what I mean? Maresca, took a while to build up and stuff at the end of the day before we started seeing the results that we wanted. And where we are at the moment, Liam Rosenior's come in. He's got no pre-season. His squad's a bit tattered. Do you know what I mean? With injuries and illnesses and players not sure in and around where they stand and stuff. Like, if he can get ugly wins up until the end of January, and that, I think that's not a bad thing at all, man. Do you know what I mean? I don't even think that's a bad thing. Like, the way I see it is, since Rosenior's come in, we've won 3 and 4. And the one that we lost wasn't the worst loss in the world. Conceding 3 goals the way we did wasn't ideal, for sure, 100%. But we got those 2 goals back against Arsenal and kept us in the tie. Easily one of the most difficult games, bar playing PSG in Ligue 1, that Liam Rosenior will ever have faced in his managerial career. Do you know what I mean? So I think that there's something to be said in that. I think the Arsenal game, the return leg, will be very telling. Very, very, very telling.
Yeah.
We played them at home, so it's at the Emirates, isn't it? The return fixture. I think that'll be very telling. And, again, it's difficult as well, isn't it? Because what Rosenior now needs to do is, and we'll kind of move on to this in a minute, actually, it's like Cole Palmer. It's like, okay, if Cole Palmer isn't going to be available every game, what is your plan B for that? It can't be, I'll throw Enzo in there one game and I'll throw João Pedro in there another game and I'll put Andre Santos in there another game. It can't be that, can it? It can't be, I'm just going to keep trying different things. It's like, you need to imagine, if Cole Palmer wasn't here, what would you do? And then that needs to be what we do when Cole Palmer isn't available, isn't it? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, whether people agree with me or not, but Esteval is the solution for the moment. He will be. He provides the creativity. He's oozing in confidence at the moment. Every time he's on the pitch, you can see he brings another level. And of course, Paphos, he got shut out, but he was still getting those opportunities. He was unlucky with the one inside the box that got blocked, but again, they were blocking anything anyway. But he will be the one for the moment. And we can argue, yes, he's 18. Yeah. Shouldn't be relying on an 18-year-old. He's our player. He is good enough. He's proved it. So we can rely on him. It's not like we're going to rely on him for the entire season, because Cole Palmer will be fit again. Yeah. I'm not too sure, so don't quote me on it, but I don't think it was the groin injury that was the problem, at least from what I hear. And I think it was either sickness or it was something to do with his leg, but not something that was too concerning, which I hope is the case, because if it's the groin, a little bit more worrying. Yeah. Because when coming back, that should be him clear. Yeah. Like, he shouldn't be stepping onto the football pitch again unless he is injury free. So the fact that he got on the pitch, for me, must mean that the groin injury was no longer a problem. But
and he's done 90 minutes as well, isn't he?
So, but for now, I would say to the end of Jan at least. If you can't use Cole Palmer, or you have to use him sporadically, rely on Esteval. And I think Rosenior will. I do think, because he's getting a lot of minutes, and the Arsenal game, he was superb. So that would be my answer. It's just going to depend on what I can see Enzo doing it a few times, to be fair, in the 10. I think we've seen him a little bit more.
So I think
it could be an Enzo, Caicedo, Santos midfield for the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, that's true. What I think it is, though, is more that I think we almost think a little bit too literally about the positional stuff. I think when I hear Esteval should be the one that replaces Cole Palmer in these things,
Yeah.
I agree, but I think I don't necessarily it's from the point of being the number 10. I think it's from being the difference maker, being the guy that scares people. Do you know what I mean? So if you put Enzo Fernandez in the 10, he's not replacing Cole Palmer's position because he doesn't play the same way that he does. But I think we should see, like, Cole Palmer is that player that on his day players crowd out and he does magical stuff and he's you're scared of him and stuff. I think because wingers are cutting in now, especially, I don't think it's as cut and dry as play Esteval in the 10. So what I've noticed a few times already is when Esteval's on and Cole Palmer comes off, Esteval hasn't been moved into the centre. He's actually been playing Pedro Neto there sometimes. But at the end of the day, Esteval's still the one that's making the scary runs and the attacks and
the thing with that, and why for me it is as simple as a position, because the 10 is the center of the park, right? Which is generally the most crowded area. You've got your centre backs, you've got midfielders in there, so it requires a player that is technically decent on the ball. Who's better on the ball? If obviously your instance there was saying Pedro Neto was playing in the centre and Esteval was playing on the right, technically who's better on the ball? Esteval, not Pedro Neto. So you want someone in the middle of the park that can cope under pressure, that technically is decent on the ball, that can have a player on pressure and still pick out the right pass. Creatively, how does his mind operate? Does Neto think on the level of Palmer, or is Esteval closer? Esteval. So you want a player that, of course, he's not going to be at Cole Palmer's level, but in terms of the attributes that Cole Palmer provides, Esteval is close to it, and you want him in the most dangerous part of the pitch, which is the centre, which is where we did a video a few weeks back on where we weren't contesting, where we were allowing it, and that was the centre of the park, and that was because mainly because we haven't had Cole Palmer for the entire season, and we haven't had that kind of player operating in the centre of the area to provide that dominance. So look, you can put loads of different players in there, but for me, in the 10, you want your most creative outlet, not just your most influential player. And for me, Esteval for me is the most. João Pedro's got the tricks and things like that, but in terms of consistency, and again, I still think Esteval's much more technical on the ball than João Pedro is.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I'd love to get your thoughts on that. So
I think Esteval's definitely better at holding on to the ball than João Pedro is for a start, isn't it? One thing you don't see, it's weird, especially recently with João Pedro, I'm not seeing him spend a lot of time on the ball. It's very much when the ball comes to him, whether he be playing at the number 9 dropping deep or in the number 10, he seems to be getting rid of it almost instantly. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I do think it's a weird one. Waves just commenting on my drinking habits there. Yeah, it's been a long day, man, long day. But no, I do agree with you that from the you want your number 10 to be your most creative player, but I almost think. So, for instance, I mentioned it before. We're seeing Cole Palmer going out on the right now sometimes as well. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And Enzo Fernandez playing in the number 10 isn't necessarily him playing in the number 10 as much as him playing in like a midfield position. Because obviously because we are still seeing a bit of the inverted midfielder thing with from the fullbacks and the box midfield and stuff. So yeah, and what this really comes down to is what you and I have both said through this. We're 4 games in. It's really difficult to kind of delineate the actual tactical
because I think
you also
you kind of. For instance, if you kind of play Enzo in the 10, for me, Enzo's at his best when he's a bit deeper and he's allowed to spray those passes. You start putting him behind the striker or in that 10 position, where when he's picking up spaces on the edge of the D, he's not got a lot of movement. He's not got a lot of area to play, and you kind of nullify his best game. Where you can rely on certain other players to do that and allow Enzo to drop a bit deeper. The same thing with Caicedo. You're definitely not going to put Caicedo in the 10 position, are you? Because you kill his entire game. So it's gonna be interesting to see how Rosenior approaches this, because if Palmer plays this weekend, which I have seen, like he's going to get something.
I saw something, and I'm not even sure where it's from because I didn't go into it, but I saw something saying he's out for the Palace game, and they're hoping to see him back for Napoli.
Because I think in the interview he said he was in training, and they were going to assess it by the end of the day whether or not. So if he's there, he's there. If he's not, he's not. But if he is there and he gets minutes, and he looks okay, I would still bleed him into the team. Don't just
Yeah.
expect him to do 90 minutes. I think that was a bit much, doing 90
Mm.
minutes straight off the back of playing no football for a while. But if he doesn't feature, then maybe it's a little bit more serious, and maybe he
Yeah.
needs another month or so out, which is not what I want to be saying.
So let's move into the Cole Palmer talk, good and proper then, because he keeps cropping up, and obviously there's a lot going on around Cole Palmer at the moment. So
Yeah.
where this story kind of started, I think, was Cole Palmer in the Brentford game. Liam Delap comes on, wins the penalty. Cole Palmer takes the penalty, scores the penalty, doesn't celebrate, doesn't look particularly happy. Now I spoke to Nina Hristova about this because she was at the game, and when we
Yeah.
did our collab together, and I asked her, do you think that is a case of Cole Palmer is like fed up about the club and he's like, it's all a mess, or this and that and the other? Or do you think that he didn't play particularly well that game? He hasn't played particularly well since the Everton game, truth be told, when he's featured and stuff. Do you think and it makes sense because he's coming back from a big injury and he's trying to kind of work off the rust. And is it a case of he actually is like lambasting his own performance and feels like that penalty was unearned? So we'll start with that. So with just from your reaction seeing Cole Palmer, now it's all speculation, but do you think that him not celebrating the penalty was he's unhappy at the club, which is going to lead us into the news that we've heard, or do you think that he's just kind of annoyed at himself and not being at his best?
I think it's kind of a bit of everything. I would say 99% of those players are probably not happy with what's happening at the club at the moment. They've just had a manager that they've won things together that seem to be going on the right track, pulled away, which can happen. It's football. But if I take a step back and I look at it, and anyone that's played any type of sport, not just football, when you have a terrible performance, because let's be real, it was horrible performance from him, which you can imagine. He's just come back with a long injury. You are frustrated. You're pissed off with yourself. You're not going to be happy. There's been many times where you do something in the game, you've had a terrible game, you don't feel like celebrating it. And he didn't earn that penalty. He is the penalty guy. If he's on the pitch, there's nobody else on that pitch that you want taking penalties except Cole Palmer. So it was always going to happen. So am I reading it that he wants to leave and that he's had enough and everything? No, I just think for me personally, he's probably a bit annoyed with what's gone out. But more importantly, if it was an injury that's come back, which it looked like he was sitting down on the floor at the end of the game, is he annoyed that it's potentially another injury? It's going to keep him out from even longer, which that would annoy me as a player. If I've been sat on the sideline for 2 months and I finally get back in, first game back. I mean, I did it last year. I went and tried to go play. I did it the other day. Try to play football, go back, 10 minutes later, foot gone, broke my foot. Now I'm out for another 6 months.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you go out, and it's not just the fact of you go out, you heal, and you can just go back in. It's the rehabilitation. It's getting your match fitness up, then playing some minutes. And so I can imagine it's a lot of frustration built up inside him. And he just didn't feel like celebrating from my perspective.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that, to be honest. Like, I do agree with you in that none of the players are going to be particularly happy about what's going on at the club at the moment, but I also think in the back of their heads, they all know that they've signed up for this for a decade, do you know what I mean? Because that is the nature of all of their contracts. So I don't think it's as simple as the players being like, I want to get out, because even if they do, like, it's not going to be easy for them to just get out, do you know what I mean? Because someone's going to have to come in with the right bid. So I don't think it's as simple as that. I do think that, for me, it makes sense that Cole Palmer has, at one point, very recently, been arguably the best player in the Premier League. Do you know what I mean? The best player in England. Like, he scored in the only goal for us in the Euros against Spain. Do you know what I mean? In the final and stuff as well. Like, he's gone from literally being up here at the top of the world, right down to the bottom where he's struggling to get game time, and when he is getting game time, he's struggling to make an impact against a team like Brentford. So I think that's 100% got to be playing on his mind now. Man, I just want to pull up a quick comment pertaining to what we were talking about before from Waves before we move on from Cole Palmer. Waves, mate, really appreciate all the comments today, man. I'm really loving the analysis as well. The problem with Enzo playing deeper is that it squishes Caicedo and he can't spray the ball because we don't use inside forwards to get it behind. Would love us to do so, however, because we have the pace. So just a really great comment on Enzo there. And we've talked about this a little bit before, haven't we? With Enzo Fernandez, it's complicated because he can play so many positions. Do you know what I mean? And it's just like he almost doesn't have a position. And
but he seems to be missing an attribute of each position, which would make him great in those positions. Yeah. So with that, playing that deeper role, he's got to be a box to box. He's got to have the energy and the rep, which he doesn't have enough, which is why Caicedo ends up getting squished and get caught out. And then when he's in a 10, he just doesn't have the creative mind
Yeah.
as you would want in like a Palmer, but he's dogged. He was the reason that we got the first goal against Brentford
Yeah.
by the actual dogged work rate,
Yeah,
winning
yeah,
the
yeah.
ball up high with João Pedro in there. So yeah, he's got loads of good attributes that slot him into many different positions, but he's
Yeah.
like missing a very important attribute in each one,
Yeah.
which stops him from doing great in all of them. That's the thing.
It's almost like João Pedro, isn't it? But like a deeper
Yeah,
version, where it's like not quite a number 9 and not quite a number 10. It's like
yeah,
Enzo Fernandez is not quite a 6, not quite an 8, not quite a 10. Really interesting. So just hopping back onto the Cole Palmer stuff, because we've had a couple of comments about it. Now, Omar, welcome
yeah,
to the stream, man. Always a pleasure to have you. Vis-a-vis Cole Palmer, not to mention he's
exactly.
trying to win a spot in the England squad for the World Cup, so he knows he has to get match fit and improve his performance. Absolutely huge point there. I think World Cup years are so difficult for this man, isn't it?
Yeah, and if you think this is probably for the players, if you're an England player right now, this is one of the best opportunities to
Yeah.
win it. With the manager that we've got,
Yeah.
the quality of players now, they're not just young players anymore. They've got an experienced head, experienced players. I mean, Saka's experienced in the league now. He's producing numbers. So yeah, any player for me that is wanting to win the World Cup, this
And
is the year.
You got to
And they
think
want to
as
do
well.
it. They want to be there.
It's there to be taken, man. Eberechi Eze
Yeah.
having a terrible time at Arsenal right now.
Yeah.
Phil Foden, terrible time at Man City now. Like that position that we're talking about, Cole Palmer, other than Jude Bellingham, who I don't think he's tearing it up quite as he was a season or so ago. But there is that spot is available right now, and Cole Palmer will be definitely annoyed at not so annoyed at himself, but just annoyed at the situation in terms of like I should be making the best of this opportunity, because he is arguably like as good as Phil Foden on his best day. Do you know what I mean? And as good as Jude Bellingham on his best day. And I would argue probably on his best day, better than Eze. Do you know what I mean? Like, Eze's a great player, don't get me wrong, but all of these players that could be getting into the spot in the England squad are really struggling at the moment, so that's interesting. From Waves, this is an interesting one. So I think vis-a-vis Cole Palmer and the squad in general, consider this. If Enzo Maresca left voluntarily, that means he doesn't think these players are good enough, and that's got to hurt. So that is a really interesting point, and definitely not one we're seeing a huge amount of like people talking about. It's like Enzo Maresca, and I always say this: Enzo Maresca didn't get sacked; he walked. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Blueco did not want to sack him, 100%. At the very, very least, they would have wanted him to stick it out until the end of the season. So that is an interesting point as well. You got to think all of these players are probably like, he's walked because he doesn't think we're good enough. Do you know what I mean? And that doesn't just include the Jamie Gittins and the Garnachos and the João Pedros and the Liam Delaps that have just been brought in. That also includes the Caicedos, the Cucureas, the Cole Palmers, the guys that have kind of, done really well under him. So, yeah, what do you think about that one, Kai?
Yeah, I think Waves is right, man. That it would hurt a manager that you have, built up a connection with, that you've like I said, winning. When you win something together, it builds a bond. You don't just get that. You have to win it. Once you've won it, you build a bond. So yeah, I can imagine it's probably hurt. Look, on the Cole Palmer thing, I think he's just frustrated for me, and I think that's it. I think once he is fit and playing, I think the story will disappear, if I'm going to be totally honest. So I see. We've got a little Palace fan in there.
Yeah. I was just about to bring attention
got a
to
little
that,
Palace
actually.
fan in the
So,
comments.
welcome, Wertz Lead, to the chat, man. We are going to highlight what you're talking about, because I think both me and Kai have got some rebuttals, my friend. We've got some rebuttals. But welcome to the chat, man. Thanks for getting involved. So, first off, Wertz Lead says, Palace are winning on Sunday, and he follows up with, we are better and Chelsea are cooked. I'm going to assume that is, rather than how it's actually spelt, because I don't want to say that on camera. Then Chelsea aren't a Big Six club. And finally, up the Eagles, Palace 5-0 win, big 3 points for Palace. So,
How are you going to do that without a manager, mate? Is Mateta left yet? Oh,
Yeah.
what about your centre back?
And interesting. Waves has just made a shout as well. Palace fan called Verts.
I know,
do you know what I mean? Yeah. But let's
Yeah.
just pretend. Let's just pretend,
Yeah.
or let's take it at face value and just pull these apart, because maybe he just wants Chelsea fans to pull apart these claims on camera, and I'm, my friend, am totally happy to oblige. So, Palace is not necessarily just going to be an easy game, but
Yeah.
your manager is out. and he couldn't even wait until the end of the season. You're in a really, really sticky situation now where the manager Glasner, he's come out and he said, "Yeah, I'm not signing a new contract at the end of the season." And literally, it kind of interestingly to respond to Waves's comment that he just made about players not being happy that Enzo Maresca's like literally, Glasner has just done exactly the same thing. Mateta is trying to push for a move to Juventus. Mark Guehi's gone to Man City. Things aren't exactly looking great, man, are they? So whether you're a Palace fan or not, like, that's some bold comments there.
Will be on the way to the door.
Yeah.
On the way out the door as well.
So yeah, go on, Kai. Have a crack, mate. Have a crack.
Palace are always just an annoying team to face. Let's be real. They are always annoying. Defensively, they've always been solid, but
for sure.
they are going through an absolute like tear apart right now.
Yeah.
You know, I'm quite surprised that it's happened the way that it's happened, and it seems to be going on the verge of getting worse. You know, the after game comments that he's made about Guehi and things like that, and not being supported. Clearly, Glasner has been frustrated, and that's part of the reason why he's not. But because from what I understand, the players have only just found out as well. Like they wanted to keep it quiet for as long as possible.
The only people that knew were Steve Parish and and Steve Parish didn't even know that he was going to say it in the press conference.
Yeah. So I think what's tipped it is they probably had a conversation about Guehi going to Man City, and he's gone, you know what, bun you, mate. Next press conference, I'm letting it all out. And that's what he's done. So immediately the players are gone. I'm hoping, actually, you know what, I don't care. It's Palace. It's not my team. But I'm hoping he would have spoken to the players before doing that press conference, and not doing the press conference and then finding out that way. Because it works for us if it's happened that way, because that's kind of a slap in the face to players that have been, let's be real, they've done superb under him, and winning the FA Cup last year, you know, I think many Palace fans, if you had told them that, they wouldn't believe you.
We're not talking about like Champions League football here, though, man. Do you know what I mean? It's like I like Glasner as a manager, but to come out and do this, all it says to me is he's trying to get himself sacked because he wants paying off for the rest of his deal, and he doesn't want to manage at the club anymore. And
I wonder how much he's got left on his deal.
Oh, it's just until the end of the season, I think. I'm pretty sure it's just until the end of the season. So for me, it seems like he just wants out now. Do you know what I mean? And I can't see any other reason why you wouldn't just wait until the end of the season. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't really make sense.
I think it's the Guehi thing. I think you probably find Man City approached Palace in like December, maybe even November time to say, look, I know they had the injury of, was it to Guardiola, and then suddenly Guehi was coming in, but I feel like that was on the cards for a while, and had they had spoken about it, Glasner and Parish, that was probably the tipping point for him to go, enough's enough. I mean, we've seen it with Maresca. He obviously wasn't getting certain things that he wanted. He was being frustrated, and he's gone, that's enough, I'm going. It's similar sort of things, but again, he could have waited to the end of the season.
It seems a bit petty to me, man, because if you look, at the end of the day, like I say, man, Crystal Palace, it's like, you're not a Champions League club. You're not got Champions League money. 20 mil for Mark Guehi now, or lose him for free in 6 months, like... From a business perspective, you can't be like, oh, I'm not being backed. It's like, mate, they need that 20 mil, man. Do you know what I mean? Because let's be honest, what there isn't at Crystal Palace right now is an Eze or an Elise. Do you know what I mean? Not a guy that you're going to make 50, 60, 70 mil from when you sell him at the end of the season.
I reckon they'll make that for Wharton. I feel like he'd be going for that kind of money. And if you actually do think about it, it's almost identical to the Maresca situation. If you think about it, Palace won a cup last year.
Yeah.
They want to improve. They want to win more. He wants to push his squad, but he's not being allowed to. And not only that, they're getting rid of their best players to make it even harder for him. So he's probably looked at Maresca going, well, Maresca just walked.
I don't think it's identical.
No, but in terms of like the certain nuances around it as to why he might have done it now rather than the end of the season.
Yeah, the thing is, Guehi's going. Yeah. You're Crystal Palace. You haven't got an 80 million war chest to just go out and bring these players in. It's Crystal Palace, man. Do you know what I mean? Crystal Palace would need to be in European football for 3, 4, 5 seasons be fair. Look at Newcastle. Newcastle, a great example. Do you know what I mean? It's same sort of thing, isn't it? That Eddie Howe got them into the Champions League, and then they had a horrible season after that, and they've
Yeah.
had to build their way back up. And they now, after a few seasons of doing well, now
Yeah.
they've got them. He's got them some reinforcements, and their team's been stuck a little bit more together. It's just one of those things, isn't it?
Money helps too, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, man. And that's the thing is, like, Crystal Palace aren't in that situation. So one thing, I think it's symptomatic of something that's happening at the moment, and I think we're seeing it a lot, man. I think that the other thing that I want to mention actually is the thing is, right, Glasner, for me, has a lot of credit in the bank in a similar, although he's got the trophy, in a similar way to how Thomas Frank did, right? When Thomas Frank went to Tottenham, we all assumed that Thomas Frank was the thing that made Brentford tick. And Thomas Frank's gone to Tottenham, and they're in 14th place. And Brentford, up until recently, were in 5th with losing those players and their manager being their literal set-piece coach from last season. So the thing is, it's difficult because you can look at what Glasner's done with with Crystal Palace and say Glasner's an absolutely unbelievable manager, but then you can look at the Thomas Frank situation and be like, oh well, actually,
the only difference is he won something. And
agreed.
That's the biggest difference with that. Yes, it'd be interesting to see when the new manager come in how Palace do. Do they drop? Do they stay the same? And then you could say, oh, maybe it was just the structure of Palace, but what he has done that no other Palace manager's been able to do, and obviously what Thomas Frank wasn't doing at Brentford, is he got them over the line against, let's be real, one of the toughest opponents to do it against.
But all I'm saying is, based on what we've seen recently, it's not just a given, is it? Because it used to be. Do you know what I mean? You would see a manager like Glasner win a trophy and then go to another club and continue to do well because there was obviously enough about the manager himself. But because of the way the structure of football has changed, now it is about sporting directors and finances and stuff. It's now not as much of a given. So I think Glasner is coming from a harder point of argument now than it was a few years ago. Do you know what I mean? I think if Glasner's saying, I deserve the next shot. Iraola was another one. Do you know what I mean? Iraola was being really, really highly talked about, obviously linked with the Chelsea job as well and stuff. And now, obviously, we've seen Bournemouth are dropping off a little bit. So I think it's a really crazy time, man. It's a really crazy time for managers. And I think we're in this massive transitional period across football, which Chelsea are probably in more than anyone else because we're kind of like going in really hard on it. But we're in this transitional period now where managers, we used to talk about player power. Now we're talking about manager power, and that is also dissipating. And I didn't even realise that was a problem. Do you know what I mean? Until recently. So I just think the whole situation's a bit crazy, man. So we'll circle back round to Palace because I do actually want to talk about the game and predicted 11s and whatever. But what we'll move on to a little bit now, I'll just scroll right back up to the start because Daniel made a comment about it. So we're going to talk about Jeremy Jacquet and Douglas Luiz. We'll start with Douglas Luiz. Daniel says, I would take Douglas Luiz on a 6-month loan, and what top midfielders coming in January? Fair play, I would wait until the summer to get a top midfielder. So, we were never going to get a top midfielder in January, ever. No. If we were going to get any top players in January, it only would have been for positions that need strengthening in the first team. Our first team midfield doesn't need strengthening, does it? That's the truth. Caicedo and Enzo Fernandez are both more than good enough to, we don't need to worry about that yet. Douglas Luiz, I think actually this is exactly what Chelsea fans have been asking for, is a bit of experience in the squad. Do you know what I mean? At the end of the day, and I think that it will be a lot less disruptive in January to get someone like a Douglas Luiz than it would to go and try and get an Adam Wharton or an Elliot Anderson or something like that. What do you think? I've done a video on him today. I've got some stats and stuff. What do you think about Douglas Luiz coming to Chelsea on loan, potentially with no obligation to buy for the rest of the season?
I've got a video coming out on him, but
a
sneak peek. I'll say, look, there's a few things that I like about this. One, his age. Are we going to see a turn in going for players that aren't prepubescent or just coming out the womb? He's 27. Fair enough.
Yeah.
What he would provide is depth. Definitely. We don't know if Lavia is ever going to see a blade of grass this season. It doesn't look like it. So we can pretty much write him off.
Yeah.
So we are going to need that cover. He is Prem proven.
Yep.
For me, his best time was at Villa. I
Yeah, for
think
sure.
he's gone down. I mean, he's struggling to get in the Forest team, but
Mm.
I also look at the manager of Forest,
Yeah, and Forest whole
and
season, man. Forest whole
yeah,
season. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, it's
it's been
definitely.
it's been up and down. So I'm not going
Yeah.
to take that too much into account. Obviously, struggled to get in the Juventus team. That was when he was taking the next step up. Obviously, Aston Villa at the time were doing well, but not to that level.
Yeah, yeah,
He's
yeah.
not done great there, but again, I also contribute some of the factors with what was going on with him and his misses at the time and things like that. It can affect outside things can affect football.
Yeah, for sure.
But one thing that worries me is he does have an injury record
Yeah.
and a recent one.
Hmm.
And it all seems to be the same injury, a thigh injury. I don't. I think he would come in and provide some good quality depth. My problem being, are we just going to bring in another player that's just going to be injured and we're going to have him sat on the bench? And if we don't buy him and we loan him, great. But then what's the point of loaning a player that we're not going to use for 6 months? That's the only thing. So experience wise, great. Age wise, happy to see someone above the age of 25. Brilliant.
Yep.
Problems, he's injury prone at the moment
Hmm.
and he's not had the best time for quite a few seasons. So
Yeah.
I'm sort of not on the fence where I think we probably should go out and get him on loan, but I
Yeah.
would not to the end of the season. I think it would be okay. But if we have an option for another midfielder that is around the same age that is not injury prone, then I'd probably lean towards that instead because
Yeah.
I can just see it, man. I can see him coming in first game, he gets a thigh injury and he's out for the rest of the season. I can see it happening.
I think the problem with like I agree with what you just said, and it's 100% like a factual
Yeah.
statement. But at the same time, situationally, how
Mm.
many midfielders over the age of 25,
Yeah.
27 with Prem experience who have
Yeah. Yeah.
done well, who aren't injury prone, who are available to come on loan with no
Yeah.
obligation to buy right now that are financially viable for the club,
Yeah. Yeah.
that is such a specific set of conditions
Yeah. Yeah.
to find a midfield player for, right? So what I don't think we're looking at is like a Kim Kallstrom to Arsenal where he comes in with a broken back and plays one game for him in
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
season or whatever. Do you know what I mean? I don't think we're looking at something like that. I think injury-wise, I'd be very, very surprised based on how uptight our medical staff are about players and
Yeah.
minutes and stuff and how much
That's the
they're
thing, yeah.
affecting the team at the moment. I'd be really surprised if they sanctioned a move for a player that they didn't think they could manage. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think you're 100% right. Like there is definitely a worry that the injuries could be an issue, but based on all of the news and the rhetoric
Yeah.
that's been surrounding our medical team at the moment, I'd be really, really surprised if in 1 minute they're telling Maresca how long players can play for and they are the be-all and end-all, but also the same group is going out and saying, yeah, go and get Douglas Luiz, that will probably be fine. Do you know what I mean? That to me seems like a bit of an oxymoron in itself. As far as he goes, like, yeah, the Nottingham Forest thing, I think it's reasonably unfair to judge him based
Yeah.
on his time at Nottingham Forest because they started the season with Nuno, who got sacked. They got Ange Postecoglou in. He was absolutely terrible and also got sacked. And then they've brought in Mr. Brexit Bull Sean Dyche. Now, don't get me wrong. I like Sean Dyche. I think Sean Dyche is a great Premier League manager. And we need to keep some managers in that like the Prem, man. Do you know what I mean? 100% because he knows how to motivate his men to stay in the Premier League for the most part. He did an amazing job with Burnley. So, you know, I do think there's something in that. But I can't look at Douglas Luiz's time at Nottingham Forest and go, that's the player that we're going to get. Now, the reverse side of that is what I want to think is we're going to get the Aston Villa Douglas Luiz. Do you know what I mean? And that's probably not true either. It's probably going to be somewhere in between. 23-24. 53 games he played for Aston Villa that season, and he scored 10 goals and got 10 assists in that entire season. So what we know is that if used in the right way in the Premier League, he has attacking impetus, right? So I also think, like I said at the start, I think that Douglas Luiz is the only kind of midfielder that we can get in January in order to bolster our midfield, which we need, because ultimately I want to see Reece James back at that right back, right centre back spot because although he's done admirably in midfield, I think he's better a little bit further back for us. So getting a player like Douglas Luiz, it's not about him smashing his way into the first team, is it? It's about making sure when Caicedo's unavailable to play,
I
there's
think a
someone
lot
there.
of a lot of fans tend to forget, like, you're not going to get a first teamer, not in Jan, and if you are, you're paying through the odds, and it's not happening. It's not going to happen. But
100%.
what you do need is a sufficient depth,
Yeah.
and you need. We've got depth in midfield, but half of them are injured,
Yeah.
which is a problem.
Yeah.
Douglas Luiz is not going to come in and he's not going to be a starter.
No.
Like he's not. He's not going to replace Caicedo. He's not going to replace Enzo. And next in line would be Santos for me.
Yeah.
But what he is going to do, he would provide depth at. I mean, there's no backdraw on it apart from his injury record. That is the big problem for me, and I'm still in two minds to whether it's worth the risk. And it leads me on to something I want to ask at the end.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not going to go too much in it now because is it Burger Buns? I saw him. He made a comment about the standards.
Yeah, I've got a few comments that I'm going to highlight in a minute, but
so in a second, but I also want to talk about the state of football itself and the quality of manager and also the quality of players that are coming through.
Yeah.
Has it dropped?
Yeah, I think so.
When you think back years back and you think the players that were playing around there and even players before that, before the Ronaldos, the Messi's, players now, and we look at the standard now, and not just in the Chelsea team, but
City and Liverpool,
even all the big teams.
Yeah,
you think you look at
even
their
Arsenal.
teams and you go, yeah, even Arsenal. You think the players that they had to the players that are coming through now that are supposed to be the next big things. For me, it's dropped dramatically.
Yeah,
Like dramatic. Of course, you're gonna get the gems, and people go, "Oh, Mbappe." You're gonna get the odd gems, but how many of those teams had an abundance of quality?
Yeah.
And I don't see it anymore. I don't see it. And what is starting to happen is football has become very, very boring.
Yeah.
Like, to watch. It's become and that is because of how tactical things, and I get that, from a tactical perspective, it's admirable, isn't it?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Because it's become it's a game of chess now, like more so than it ever was before. But the entertainment that get you off your seats, you get the odd players, but it's not a team thing anymore. For me, it's definitely it's dropped, and it's not about finding the next Messi or the next Ronaldo or things like that. It's just in terms of quality throughout the game. It for me personally, and you can agree with me or disagree with me. I don't care. It's my opinion. You'll have yours, but for me, it has dropped in terms of what's coming through, and I don't see anything on the peripherals that's going to change my mind. I think for the next 5-6 years at least.
No, I 100% agree with you, man. And if I'm honest, I'm going to go in. I'll say this, and then I'll start going through some of these comments. I think exactly what you're talking about is pertaining to the change in football that's happened, where it is now athleticism over skill. That is what the tactics have changed to, isn't it? And that's also why we're seeing so many more injuries than we ever did before on such a regular basis. There's more football. There's more of an emphasis on athleticism than there is on skill, because it is easier to outrun a team than it is to out-talent a team. And that is kind of what we're looking at. Like, even if you look at Pep's, winning teams over the last few years, he's not been playing his tiki-taka beautiful Barcelona football. Do you know what I mean? He it's just been, my team is more athletic than yours, and I've got some bits of quality in there like Rodri and Bernardo Silva and stuff, don't get me wrong. But I think the change to athleticism over skill has made football more boring to watch, 100%.
Yeah, and it goes the same with managers. Like you can just think the Ancelottis. I know I'm probably going to reel off a lot of Chelsea managers. My bad. But the Jose Mourinho, I know Pep's still around, but the managers, it's dying. Like the new crop of managers, can't for me hold a candle, not just because of what they won, but like the football that was being played and things like that. It's
the fact that Enzo Maresca is being linked with Man City and Real Madrid, I think, is wild. Absolutely wild. Like, there was a question about whether I thought he had it in him to potentially win the Premier League season next year if he gets the right squad and develops for another year. But the fact that Real Madrid, and we've talked about this loads of time, man. There's only like 3 big managers in football at the moment.
Football left,
Do you know what I mean? And the rest of them are all up and comers. Right, so let's just sort of go back and get back on this Douglas Luiz conversation. We'll revisit this later though, because I do think it's fascinating. Waves. Oh no. Waves said so. He laughing in his head when the Arsenal players were chatting him up, knowing he's already going to City. Yeah, so that's funny. Like you say, because if he'd have been talking since, November, December kind of thing, and that had been happening, that's hilarious. Omar said, I agree, disagree with that comment about Maresca. In his mind, he thought the club was going to back him and give him the toys he wanted, but the club isn't going to budge from the model of the project. I agree and disagree with that comment because I think that's true to an extent, but I don't think they ever gave an indication that they were going to change their model. Do you know what I mean? I think what they're saying has always been true. If the right player becomes available in the right moment for the right price, they'll look at it as they did with, for instance, there was a little bit of talk about Semenyo. I believe that we would turn down by Semenyo. Do you know what I mean? 100%. We had a conversation and Semenyo was like, no, I'm not interested in Chelsea at all. But I think there is something there to say that if the right opportunity, for instance, imagine if tomorrow that Erling Haaland became available for 50 mil and he wanted to come to Chelsea, they'd go and get him, wouldn't they? Of course they would. If something like that happened, like if I don't believe that they'll turn down the right offers. So, but I don't think the Maresca was ever told we're gonna buy youth kids for a bit and then we're gonna buy you loads of 27, 28-year-olds. Like I think that was probably never gonna happen, and I think it was Maresca, because he'd won a couple of trophies, wanted them to change the model. That's what I think happened. About Douglas Luiz, Burger Buns, he's had quite a lot to say. Douglas Luiz is not good. Experience does not mean anything. I have to completely disagree with that to an extent. Look at Tosin. Yeah, I agree that at the end of the day, in his pomp, Douglas Luiz was a much better player than Tosin Adarabioyo has ever been. Do you know what I mean? When we talk about experience, the experience that Douglas Luiz has got is playing 53 games in a Premier League season, including 14 games in the Conference League, scoring 10 goals and getting 10 assists, and being one of the best players in the Premier League that year. Tosin Adarabioyo came to Chelsea on a free and has never performed that well, ever. So I think to kind of have them in the same conversation in that respect is a bit disingenuous for me. What do you think, Kai?
Yeah, I always I get the point that he's trying to make, and again, it's just the standard of midfielders that we're looking at is, of course, it's nothing like the standard of midfielders that we were looking at back in the day. But I also think there's very few of those that would be available now.
Yeah.
That we would be able to get. So, but it's one of those that they always pick like one player and go, experience doesn't mean anything because he's not doing great now. But then there's about 50,000 other players that have got experience that are doing really, really well. But it's because one player's had not a great time that it means experience means nothing. It's rubbish because experience means a lot in every field, not just football, in every job. If you've got experience, it does mean something.
If experience didn't
Some
mean
players
anything,
are always going to have bad time.
If experience didn't mean anything, then Blue Co would be onto the perfect model, wouldn't they, at the end of the day?
Yeah.
But they're not, because experience isn't everything. Wave said, if he passes a medical and then gets injured, fire this medical team immediately. Yeah, I 100% agree with that, man. Like I say, with how hot our medical team has been on like making decisions about how long players are able to play for and stuff. If we get Douglas Luiz in and he gets seriously injured, that's bad. Garvey, it's sort of what we were just saying. Never put Tosin and Douglas Luiz in the same convo again. Like I 100% agree with that, man. Even if Douglas Luiz isn't having a great time at Forest. And this is the thing, like Burger Buns, what has Douglas Luiz done in his career? It's like, mate, he played 53 games for Aston Villa in I think that was a Champions League season for them when they got into the Champions League, and ultimately scored 10 goals and got 10 assists as a number 6, which is it's good. Do you know what I mean? It's good numbers, man. It's good numbers. So Burger Buns continues. Douglas Luiz won't even get game time. Santos barely plays. I mean, yeah, he will, man, because Caicedo can't play every single game, and we need. And the thing is, Douglas Luiz, or a player of the caliber of Douglas Luiz, to come into midfield also improves our defence depth, right? Because then all of a sudden, Reece James can move back into defence. Malagusto becomes a backup. Do you know what I mean? So it improves depth across the squad in one signing, which is a good thing. Garvey says, yes, it's just depth. The club is not finding Messi, which is basically what you said before, Kai, and it. Like, 100% agree with that.
You've got to have depth.
Burger Buns, mate. Burger Buns is on it, man. Douglas Luiz has done nothing for 4 years. Is it that long? 22, 23 season. We're in the 25, 26 season now, so it's like three and a bit years. He's done nothing for 4 years. What makes you think he'll do anything for us? Promise you, one bad game with Douglas Luiz, everyone will be crying and saying, why did we sign him? And like I say,
he's right on that one. Some fans will be, of course. It's the nature of football. I personally won't be.
I think different. I think he's looking at Douglas Luiz as a player that's expected to come in and transform our team, though. Like, and that is for me, Douglas Luiz needs to come in and be like a John Obi Mikel. Do you know what I mean? Rather than
Yeah,
Fabregas or Lampard or
yeah.
something.
When we're winning 2-0
Yeah,
and the game's dead, you bring him on in the 70th minute just to shut it down.
yeah,
You know, it's I don't see that this if it does happen, a Douglas Luiz signing to be he's coming in to be the first team.
yeah,
To who's he replacing?
yeah,
Like there's no one.
yeah,
What he will do is be able to provide that depth, allow the likes of Caicedo and Enzo to have a rest because we can't do that because Romeo Lavia's injured. Asugo's is he now out again?
yeah. He's out again for a
I
month
think
because
he's out
slipped in
again. So
training. Yeah,
you know if you wanted to bring both of those players off, you have to put Santos on, and you have to put a fullback into midfield in
yeah.
order to give those players rest. So I think they're looking at the situation and going, we need more midfielders because we can't provide enough depth, enough rest for these kind of players.
I think you've just hit the nail on the head as well, man. Like Douglas Luiz is coming in to replace Dario Asugo. That is what he's for. Do you know what I mean? It's like to have a depth player that's actually available to play. And at the end of the
Yeah.
day, Dario Asugo, if he can ever get fit again, we might have another Romeo Lavia on our hands, but he might turn out to be an okay player and an okay squad depth backup player. Yeah, okay, cool. But
Concerns me with the injuries that he's having already at such a young age.
yeah. And the thing is, it's like he's only just got back into the squad and was on the bench a couple of times, but it was the first international break, wasn't it, of this season?
Yeah.
He got injured playing for Portugal, under 21s, instant surgery, and that was only supposed to be for a couple of months. But he's every single time he's come back and started training, he's picked
He's out
something
again.
up. Yeah. So that
Yeah,
that is
it's
really
slightly
concerning.
concerning for his age.
Yeah.
Look, I don't wish anything bad on any player. I hope that it's nothing serious, but it is concerning that he's so young and he's picking up something that's keeping him out for so long, and he's not even been able to get back and actually get on the pitch and play. He's going off and training, so hopefully it's nothing. I think it's going to be one that we don't see until next season. I'll be honest.
I'm not even sure we'll see him until next season, man. I've got a feeling that if he's fit by
Loan.
the summer, we'll loan him out.
Yeah.
Loan him out, or sell him to Strasbourg or something. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? I think it's just one of them. We need to affect our team now, don't we?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, what we've got is, we had the Romeo Lavia question already, and now we've got that again. Do you know what I mean? What do you do?
Yeah.
Do you keep him in the squad, and do you keep seeing if he's
Yeah.
available to come
Yeah,
back or
as I said.
whatever?
And you hit it on the right. That is what Douglas Luiz will be. He'll be the backup. And you look at all the team. Look at Arsenal.
Yeah.
What they got: Rice, Zubomendi, Odegaard. As they don't really play in that deeper role, plays in there, and Norgard
Yeah.
from Brentford. Like that is, he's not there to be amazing. He's just there to provide some cover and give those players rest. And that for me is what Douglas Luiz will be brought in to do.
Most
He's not
good-
to
good
replace
teams-
those. He's just there. You've got to have it. Depth.
Yeah.
You're not going to have first team starters for every single position on the pitch and off the pitch, because what will happen is those players will want to leave because they're not getting minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they're not starting every game. You can't do it. So you've got to have quality first team, and there is a gulf in quality in our first team. A lot of our players I don't see as first teamers. I see as depth players
Yeah.
who should be the ones coming on to replace our first teamers.
Yeah.
But you've got to have it. You've got to have it, and you can't have a squad of 22 first teamers. In an ideal world, that'd be an absolute amazing, because you could field two amazing squads. But realistically, from a player's perspective, you're not. If you're a first team and you're starting week in week out, you're not going to be happy to just sit on the bench. You're going to want to go play. So you need sufficient quality, but depth players that can just come on and do a job.
Yeah, man.
And that's for me what he's going to be.
I think that's definitely one of the things we've been missing as well, because there's too many question marks over positions in our team at the moment. Like, is it Garnacho or Gittins? Is it Delap or João Pedro? Do you know what I mean? Is it is it Chalobah? Is it Badiashile? Is it Fofana? Is it do you know what I mean? Tyson? Is it any of the Achampong? I think we need to start having a first team, second team mentality, which we don't really at the moment. And I completely agree with you. It is lovely to think, maybe you could have 22 first teamers. But the truth of the fact is, if you do, you won't have them for long. You might get a season out of that idea, but you'll be changing your team all of the time, and then that makes it really difficult to breed consistency. So yeah, I think it's really difficult, man. So I've got a couple of comments coming in. Welcome, Devin. Always a pleasure to see you, man. I checked out your YouTube channel the other day, man. I love some of your videos on there about the competitive Pokemon team, man. That stuff's cool. Stinks of loan to Strasbourg. Dario Sugo. Yeah, 100%. I think so, man. The only thing about that I think is an issue is that is initially what I was thinking about Romeo Lavia. But now, like, you kind of have to sell one of them, didn't you? That's the truth.
And it will be a Asugo. Asugo will be sold, and if
so.
they do, Lavia will be loaned.
Yeah.
Because they'll put Lavia in a higher frame than Asugo. It's, of course you would do dramatically. Yeah, the ceiling is completely different. Asugo's, you never know, 2-3 years time might be a different conversation. But right now, I mean, Lavia's still young in himself, so season is, if he could stay fit,
and
would be
the outlay. I think we only spent like 20 mil on Dario Sugo. Do you know what I mean? But the outlay on obviously 60 plus mil for Romeo Lavia. Do you know what I mean? Another comment from Garvey Moxie. Yes, Rosenior said it today. We will look at players who will be able to impact the club now, and 100%, man. Like, if anything, and actually, I almost forgot we haven't talked about him yet. This is what I thought about the Jérémy Jacquet thing. We need to get, if we're going to do business in January, we have got loads of players coming back next season. We have got literally 5 or 6 players that are going to be ready to have a go in the first team next season. Ansel Mino, do you know what I mean? We've got, what's his name? The young lad from Portugal, the right winger, Giovanni Quenda. Do you know what I mean? We've got so many players like that. We've got Emmanuel Omega. We've got Mike Penders potentially coming back. Do you know what I mean? We've got literally like half a team's worth of players already coming back. If we're going to buy people in January, for me, it has to be people that we're going to get now. So, vis-a-vis Jérémy Jacquet, when I heard we were in for him, I was like, okay, it's young again, which is a bit annoying, but he's really highly sought after. We're not the only team that are looking at him. Arsenal have been looking at him. A couple of other Premier League teams are looking at him. Rone want a massive amount of money for him, and he's been transformative to the Rone team. So he's been really, really good. And at the end of the day, if we were going to go in for him now, I get it. But when I saw that we're trying to maybe buy him to sell him, to send him back on loan for the rest of the season, we're looking at paying 50 to 60 mil for this guy. That's wild to me.
What I find mad, right, is it was centre-back's priority. Centre-back's a priority. We must get a centre-backer in January.
Yeah.
Oh, we're going to get one, but we're going to loan him. What's the priority then? That's not a priority.
No.
And look, I'm still not sold on Jérémy Jacquet, and it's not because I don't think the player's good. He's not played much football. Like he's this season is his breakout season.
Yeah.
Like in terms of he's pretty much starting every game. But before that, he was it loan on Clement, played a few games between both teams, and then before that, like 7 games.
Yeah.
I think I worked it out. He's played under, I think, like 53 first team football since breaking in, and which it's not. I mean, Hato, who's younger, has played more.
Yeah.
So in terms of experience, he's not had much. Now there's definitely qualities in there, and I don't like to get involved in the loads of other teams, top quality teams are looking at it, because let's be real, any youngster nowadays that is doing well, everybody's looking at them because everybody's trying to do a similar kind of thing. Of course, you've got to have
when it's that price,
on your radio
though, that's the thing.
Yeah, the price is.
The prices do, because if everyone's looking at a young potential player for 10 mil, then I agree with you. But when we're talking 50, 60 mil, I'm like, right, okay, that's a little bit different.
Yeah.
Very few teams other than us would buy someone for 60 mil.
The thing is, right, if we're going to spend 60 mil, and I feel like the only reason we would loan him back would be to drop the price. Like, we'll give you 50 million euros instead of 60 million, and we'll give you him back to the end of the season. But then, to me, you've just had a 19-year-old win the AFCON. That's played under Rosenior.
Yeah.
That is a centre-back that plays that position. Why are you spending 60 mil or whatever, loaning him back, and then what, you're going to bring them both back?
Yeah.
It doesn't make... It's again, it's that we're just stockpiling.
And it shows that we're definitely selling Trevor Chalobah at the end of the season, man.
Yeah,
100%.
That's the thing. And then what you do is because I can see Tosin leaving, I can see Badiashile leaving,
Yeah.
and I don't want to say it, but I can see Trev going. Not, I think
I think he's
Trev.
top of the list, mate. I think he's top of the
Yeah,
list.
I think Trev is more again from his personal perspective. I think
Yeah.
he doesn't want to go and sit back in the sidelines, which I get. You
Exactly.
know,
Yeah.
for me, he's good, but we need better. The
Yeah.
players that we're looking at to bring in, I don't personally think are better. Maybe in the future, but are not better than Trevor Chalobah now. And what you're going to do is, if you sell a Trevor, even if you sell a Tossin and a Badiashile, you're taking away more experience, more not leadership, but the know-how that's been around for a while. You're taking it out of the squad, and you're going
So
to replace it with a 19 and a 20-year-old that has done. I mean, obviously, AFCON's quite a massive achievement
yeah,
for
yeah,
Mamadou
yeah.
Sarr,
Of
but
course,
up
of
until
course.
that point, not much in the game, and expecting miracles. Like
Yeah.
honestly, if we buy him and loan him,
I think
what
the
was
other
the
thing
point,
with
man?
Sarr with Sarr in particular is Sarr might be one that just gets sold now because he's young and we bought him for very little because we bought
Yeah,
him at the start of last season. That might be another one because the thing is, would you rather sell Sarr or and a Chalobah and whatever,
yeah,
or would you rather sell Enzo Fernandez? Because that's the kind of things that we're talking about. Do you know what I mean? If we're going to have to sell to buy, which it looks like we're going
yeah,
to, we can sell Anselmino, we can sell Sarr, we can
yeah. But
sell
if you don't,
Trevor Chalobah, and we can make huge amounts of profit on those, or we sell one of our first teamers in order to get a load of money in on the books right now.
yeah, but if you're gonna sell, you're gonna sell Tossen, you're gonna
Yeah,
sell you're gonna sell Baddy Shield.
yeah.
I can see them going. Who else? I'm trying
I
to look
think
for
Badia
who else on the
Shield
team.
would be the tossing, yes, definitely, because he's only got 2
How
years
much you
left on
reckon?
his
What,
deal.
20 mil for Tossen?
Yeah, yeah,
Maybe,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
maybe that.
100%.
I don't think you get more than 20.
No,
You might get 25 to 30 mil for Baddy Shield.
I've
Maybe.
I've got a feeling that Badia Shield will stick around. You know.
You reckon?
Yeah, I've
I
got a
hope
feeling
not.
because
I'm
it's
not
only
sold on him.
Tosin and Chalobah that have got 2 years left on their deal, so that it's more pertinent to
True.
sell them. Do you know what I mean? Buddy
Yeah.
Shield's got a longer contract, and I don't think anyone's coming in with 50 mil, 40, 50 mil for
Yeah.
Buddy Shield.
You
Are
know
they?
what would
Let's
also
be
be
completely honest.
interesting?
Yeah, go on.
James and Cucurella are coming up to 18 months in the summer, and both are
Yeah,
on 250k.
yeah, yeah,
Or
yeah, yeah.
I don't think
Reece is on
Cucurella is, but I
300,
know
I think.
James is.
Yeah,
James is on. James is, I think, is the highest paid
yeah,
in the
James is, yeah,
squad. I
yeah, for sure.
swear, if we're not offering him an extension, I'm gonna lose my mind.
I f-
Unless he comes out and says, "I'm
yeah,
going because I
because
want to leave," then fair enough.
the
I can't.
fear
I'm not going to be mad at him.
the fear is a Trent situation, isn't it? So here's actually, quickly before I get into this, we've got a couple of
Hmm.
comments here. So from Waves again, if Tosin, Trev, Badia, Dazassi all leave, we need 4 to come in. Anselmino, Sarr, who else? We do need more centre backs. So I think Josh Achiampong is definitely an option there. I think we should go in for an experienced centre back as well, like a Tosin but better. Do you know what I mean? Like someone in and
Yeah.
around that age who wasn't free from Fulham. Levi's one to come back in, but we still need more. That's how I see Jackie. Yeah, I actually kind of said that on my video about Jackie, actually. Like, if we do manage to sell all of... But the thing is, like I say, with Badiashile, I don't think we'll sell Badiashile. I think that we won't be willing to lose money on him, I think is the problem. Do you know what I mean? Like, Badiashile, if someone can come in... Like, what did we spend on Badiashile? It was like 30, 40 mil or something, wasn't it?
I think. Yeah, because Desassi was 45, wasn't he?
Yeah, we're going to lose
Yeah, I
money on
think
Dazassi, 100%.
yeah, I think but Badiashile was less than that.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. He definitely was cheaper. And we bought him before as well, didn't we? We got Badiashile in the window before we got Dazassi, I think. We had him for a
I
bit
think
longer.
so. Yeah.
But I think as well with Badiashile being left-footed, also the profile thing, and he is a good passer, and he's also not looked absolutely terrible underneath Rosenior so far, to be honest. But yeah, no, the centre-back thing, the thing is, we need to buy a centre-back for me, that we need a Thiago Silva type. Not necessarily as good as that, it doesn't even need to be that good, but just someone like the John Obi Mikel of the centre-back situation. Do you know what I mean? There's, a bit of experience, an older head, someone to be in and around and calm things down a little bit. So yeah, that's going to be really interesting. What were we just talking about before I said that?
Good question.
I can't remember. It was a really interesting conversation, but I didn't want to leave the comments out.
That's a good question.
I need a
Amazing
transcript.
how time flies. Yeah.
Mate, and I need like a transcript or something, man. Like a live transcript. That'd be so
Yeah, I mean, we
useful.
were obviously talking about the price of Jackie and and if it even makes sense in terms
Yeah.
of it. Yeah.
I think the thing is, like, the difficult thing about someone like Xhaka is you just don't know. Do you know what I mean? You just don't know.
Oh
It's
yeah, James's
James's
contract.
contract. Yeah, that
Yeah,
was it. Yes, thank you,
Waves.
thank you.
You were
Well, yes,
listening
yes, Waves, you
because I
absolute
wasn't,
legend.
and I was talking.
So the Reece James contract thing is really scary because what we don't want to end up with is a Trent Alexander-Arnold situation. So this is what I was going to say. Right, here's your two options. Right, so answer this question for me, Kai. Would you rather sell Reece James at the end of next season or the end of, well, it'd have to be the end of this season, wouldn't it, for him to have a full year on and get like 100 mil plus for him, or keep him until the end of next season and let him go on a free? Now, those aren't the only options. He could
Yeah.
sign a new contract and stay. Do you know
Yeah,
what I mean?
obviously
But
that 100% for me.
Yeah.
Give him whatever he wants.
yeah,
Look, I'll be real. There are certain players. Uh, yeah, put it. Might get lost in the post.
legend.
Or the look again. Contract. That's my. I don't see why we should ever even think about not offering it. If I'm left with those two options, I have to be real. Whatever he wants, mate. If we're not going to give him the contract,
Then it
he
doesn't matter.
doesn't want to force out the move,
Yeah.
just let him go. If he wants to run his contract, go for free, go, mate. Like he has been, and I know he's been plagued with injury, and I felt gutted. But we're seeing the Reece James that we all love and see, and he's won the Champions League with us. He has been just the poster of Chelsea. He is Chelsea. So for me, whatever the guy wants, I don't at that point, I don't care about business. I don't care if these money hungry people want to make money off him. If they're not going to sign him a new contract, give him a new contract. I don't care if he runs his contract down because if he doesn't. I'm not gonna be mad at it. I'm not gonna be burning his shirt, whatever. He for me, difference of opinion, but like. I can't see how we would let him go.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with you, man. I think the thing, it's like the Eden Hazard thing, isn't it? Like, I did not begrudge Eden Hazard for leaving at all because I was like, mate, you've won us everything. You've been one of the most magical players any of us have ever
Although
seen.
we did get 100-something million for him.
160 overall,
60,
I think it was.
yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy. But at the same time, I was like, even if he'd have gone for less than that, I would have been like, yeah, just whatever, man. Like, go.
Yeah.
And with Reece James, I feel exactly the same. It is in Chelsea's it has to be within Chelsea's remit to say to Reece James, even if he says I want 350k a week, give it to him.
Yeah.
If he comes out saying something mad, because there are the likes of Donnarumma at City on 500k a week, if he comes out and says something like that, that will be when I'll be like, right, okay, so he's going to leave then, basically. Do you know what I mean? And that's almost like the Mason Mount
because
situation,
he'll
wasn't it?
also know the limitations.
Yeah.
Like, though I say give him whatever he wants, I don't care. Ask for 400k, fuck it, give it to him. I don't care. Like, I don't want him to leave.
They won't though, man, Joe.
No, he will know that.
Very
he
few
will
clubs,
know that. Yeah.
Very few clubs. Even if he goes on a free and Real Madrid come in for him, Real Madrid ain't giving him 500k a week.
No,
Do you know what I mean?
I think you're going to start seeing the wages slowly start to ticker down. I mean, I think I saw something the other day that Bayern Munich now want to implement a wage cap.
Yeah.
I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I saw something yesterday on it. So I don't think it's going to be the end of it. I think it's only just beginning. But yeah, and that I've seen rumors about Josh as well. Crystal Palace about Mark Gurley going bun off, mate. Go find someone. Go find another centre back. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You know how I feel about Josh.
Like, me too, man. Me too.
Yeah.
I think the thing is though, we're not going to be backed into all of these corners.
No.
Do you know what I mean? No. It's like we absolutely won't be backed into. The Reece James one holds weight because it is not unreasonable for Reece James to say, I either 100%. Want a huge amount of money or I want to go and play for, like Harry Kane. Do you know what I mean? Tottenham fans didn't begrudge Harry Kane for. I mean, they got a bit of wedge for him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But at the same time, like for instance, to compare it again to the Trent thing, I thought it was nuts how Liverpool fans turned on Trent.
Yeah. They still got money for him though. I know it was like peanuts, about 10 mil or something like that.
Yeah, it was like.
But that was to get him earlier, wasn't it, for the Club World Cup?
It was like 10, 20 mil, something like that. Yeah, it was to get him earlier for the Club World Cup, I think. But even so, the way that Liverpool fans turned on Trent, I was just like, nah, man. I was like, he won you the Premier League and the Champions League after you not winning the Premier League for like the entire time the
Yeah.
Premier League's been going. You got your first Premier League title. He was a big part of winning your second Premier League title as
Yeah.
well. He was a Liverpool boy from the off. You couldn't offer him everything because yes, there are trophies and there is money and there is winning, but there's also experiences. Do you know what I mean? Like there's going to play, and at the end of the day, the sad thing is it hasn't really worked out for him. Do you know what I mean? He's
No.
not actually doing very well over at Real Madrid. But at the
No.
same time, if we were stuck in the same situation with Reece James, even if he left on a free, I'd be like, mate, you won us the Champions League with Timo Werner and Kai Havertz in the team. Do you know what I mean? It's like, mate, unbelievable.
He's from a boy, man.
Yeah.
Was it 8 or 7 years old? He was in this club.
Yeah.
Like for me, he's served his time. Like, and I hope for me he ends his career here. That's what I
Yeah,
hope.
me too, man.
And
Yeah,
I've
of
said it
course.
about a lot of players, but it's different when they're Cobham boys because there's not many. I mean, there's none apart from Reece James, not that have served for so long that are still around. Trev's one of them as well. Same with like Trev. I wouldn't be pissed off at Trev either. Like
No, not
at
at all.
all. Like especially, I mean, he's had an absolute horrid time and has been treated so badly.
Yeah.
So and these kind of players that like they deserve it. You know what I mean? They deserve to end on their terms, not the club's terms. You know.
I think with Trevor Chalobah in particular, I 100% think that's what it will be because we've talked about this before. Trevor Chalobah is a great squad player, and if Trevor Chalobah does not get into Man City's first team, he doesn't get into Real Madrid's first team, he doesn't get into Bayern Munich's first team. Do you know what I mean? He just doesn't. That's just the truth. Now, if
But
we
you
would
could provide depth for those teams. That's the thing. That's what we, that's what we see.
But I don't think that's what will happen. I think I think Trevor Chalobah will go to not necessarily this team, but like an Atletico Madrid or a Dortmund or something. Not even necessarily those teams, but the stature where it's like he'll play first team football at a high level, and he can be the guy at those teams. But I don't think if we were to go in and get a strong centre back, Levi Colwill comes back, Wesley Fofana comes back. Do you know what I mean? All of a sudden, Trevor Chalobah drops to the bench. And I don't think Trevor Chalobah loves Chelsea so much that it will spend 2 seasons almost, or a season and a half, playing first team football and then drop to the bench and be like, sound, that's fine. Because
the thing is, it's not even about, the love side of things, because I'm pretty sure, you give any one of those kids the opportunity to play at Chelsea, that they're going to take it. The problem being is football is such a short career.
Yeah.
It's so short. And they want to try and, win something. They want to play football before they can't play it anymore.
Yeah.
And why do you want to sit there and spend, well, I look at players like Danny Drinkwater that sat on our bench for ages. I couldn't understand that. I get it. Money, it's really nice. I get it. But you're in an opportunity that many people would die for, to just play football and be paid for it. And I can't see the likes of a Treb just wasting their career on the bench. I can't, because he's not even old. He's 26, 27. He's in his prime.
Yeah. The thing is, Trev doesn't even Trev can go and earn more money somewhere else as well.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like I say, he doesn't necessarily take a step.
High wages either.
No. He won't be. And the sad truth of it is, because he's an academy product, if he wants to leave, there will be zero resistance to it. Zero. Yeah. They'll be like, cool, no worries, man. Because they wanted to sell him in the first place for this exact reason. Now, we'll get 40, 50 mil for Trevor Chalobah right now, won't we? Let's be completely honest. Because the time he's got left, he's got a couple of years left on his contract. He's a good, solid Premier League player with a lot of experience. And, I mean, it's like, So I do see that. Unfortunately, I think that Trevor Chalobah is, other than Tosin Adarabioyo, like I say, this is why I'm not convinced about Badiashile getting sold. I think Trevor Chalobah and Tosin Adarabioyo get sold. If there's someone who's willing to come in with a wedge for Badiashile, then I think we'll sell him. But I don't think that's going to happen. Do you know what I mean?
I suppose we can't sell everybody.
No.
Unfortunately, because we're still going to need, we don't even know what state Levi Colwell's going to come back in.
Exactly.
And what level he's going to be able to play to.
We will want to buy someone as well at the end of the day. Do you know what I mean?
Of course, you're going to. You should improve your squad every season. It keeps things fresh. It keeps players hungry.
Yeah.
It's natural, we just do it as an extreme amount at the moment.
I think one of Anselmino or Sarr will get sold as well. I don't think both of them come back into our squad next
Yeah.
season. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, there's a good shout that Sarr gets sold to Strasbourg,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
I think is unfair because I think out of the players, I
No,
know
I don't.
Anselmino was thing.
He won't get sold to Strasbourg because we bought him
You
from
don't think so?
Strasbourg. No, because we bought him from Strasbourg.
Oh, did we? Oh, yeah, we did. We can't sell.
Yeah.
Well, you can buy
There's
back clause in it.
no. There's almost no point
No.
because there'll be no
Yeah.
profit in it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you sell Sarr to Strasbourg, then you're actually just like you've basically just paid whatever the difference is in order to have it like for nothing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's literally just throwing money down the drain. So I believe that Sarr and Anselmino are both good propositions. Dortmund have already inquired about buying Anselmino on a permanent. He's 20 years old.
Yeah.
Sarr's won AFCON this season at 19 and is a first teamer for Strasbourg. I think there's lots of players, lots of teams across the world, do you know what I mean, that would be interested in both of those. And I think that we could, get a decent wedge for him. So I will...
Yeah, the only thing with Sarr is Rosenior's had him for the last 2 years. Well, 1 and a bit years. So he might be one of those. I know how much say he has, but he might be like, no, I wanna give him a shot at least.
It'll come down to value though, when at the end of the day, like if there's a buyer for Sarr and no buyers for Anselmino, or not enough buyers for Anselmino that want to pay the price, then you sell Sarr, don't you? That's just unfortunately, that's just what's going to happen. Especially as well, if Liam Rosenior is like, I want to pay 60 mil for Jeremy Jacquet. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If Liam Rosenior thought Sarr was that much of a better option than Jacquet, then he's not even talking about Jacquet for 60 mil, is he? Especially when
he knows he's coming back, doesn't he?
Yeah, and that's the thing is like we're talking about buying him to loan him back for the rest of the season. So if we, if Rosenior already thinks that Jeremy Jacquet is a better fit for his football than Sarr is, then writing's already on the wall for me. So Wave said in regards to Reece James, I would sell James for 100 mil and then tell him to do an interview with Sky Italia after 8 games and then get him back on loan. Yeah, mate, brilliant. I'd love that. No, I haven't seen about this actually. Have you seen the Donnarumma unsettled homesick rumours, by the way? So that's an interesting one.
Loads of players floating around with that one.
Is that homesick to Italy? Because he spent quite a long time in France, didn't he? But obviously he was playing at AC Milan from the age of 16 years old, man. Donnarumma is a really, really special case. So yeah, at the end of the day, like, I have very little sympathy for anyone who's on £500,000 a week.
Can fly home whenever they want.
Mate, you can fly. You can literally dig up your family home and its surrounding mileage, and then plant it somewhere in Manchester for that money. Do you know what I mean? That's mad. Then we've got Garvey saying we are in the era of very few quality players. It'd be hard to replace Reece. So that is, definitely, man, 100%.
Yeah, you're not going to replace him.
Yeah, definitely. And the thing is, for me, I really like Malagusto as a squad player, but one of my issues with Maresca is he relied too much on Malagusto when no one ever really, we didn't see him being good enough, did we? To especially not Reece James level. Wave said a certain Raheem comes to mind. Sarr, the club are way more likely to sell Anselmino. He's injury prone. I mean, Anselmino had one injury that kept him out for a little while. But other than that, he's actually been smashing it at Dortmund this season. And they wanted to buy him, and we said no. Do you know what I mean? So that's interesting. Yeah. Funny how Palmer is the only homesick player to make it to Sky News. And yes, he wants Italy. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I can imagine Donnarumma would probably like to, he obviously had a great time in France. Yeah. I'm not going to lie to you. I lived in France for 4 years, and I went on tour in Italy with my band a couple of years ago. And I'm like, mate, I can see why you'd miss those places. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
if you're living in Manchester, it's not exactly the most beautiful thing. But I do think this Palmer homesick thing, like, I think it's just being blown out of proportion, man, at the end of the day.
He's not celebrated. Oh, he's not happy with Maresca going. Oh,
misses
he
his chippy
wants
chips.
to leave. Now he misses his chippy chips from Manny. And, these all stories are all going to come round. Until he comes out and says it himself, I'll just go. Or I see Palmer's handed in a transfer request, then... I don't believe it, because
the thing with
you
Palmer
are going to get it. People.
I said this in my video today, man. I think the whole narrative with Palmer is a bit nuts, if I'm completely honest, because I'm like, look, there's a few reasons why I don't think we need to be worried about Cole Palmer for the time being. When we're talking about Cole Palmer, Chelsea fans in particular, we're thinking about 23, 24 Cole Palmer, who was absolutely unbelievable. Poch Palmer. Yeah, he's been injured for basically the last season and a half, and he hasn't performed. So I don't think Man United, who bought Mason Mount off of us for 70 mil and he was injured for the first 2 years, and he's only just starting to think about getting back into their first team now. I don't think they're looking at Cole Palmer and going, yeah, we'll spend 100 mil plus on a Cole Palmer that hasn't been at his best for over a season and is having lots of really worrying injury issues. Do you know what I mean? And I think the two situations you've got are Cole Palmer finishes the season as it's going, inconsistent game time, inconsistent form. And I think that means that like Man City and Man United aren't going to be looking at Palmer being like, he's the answer because he's obviously inconsistent and injured. Or he shakes off his injury, becomes the Cole Palmer that we know and love, which affects Chelsea's fortunes, and which means that we can get into the Champions League and means that Chelsea are doing much better. So instantly, again, Cole Palmer's not necessarily he's the fulcrum and the really important part of a team that's doing well, and he's like, oh, okay, maybe I stick this decade-long contract I've got out for a while. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think either way you look at it, it's really unlikely that we sell Cole
Yeah,
Palmer.
and how old is Palmer now? 23?
23? Yeah, I think 23.
Yeah. If he was 26, 27,
Yeah.
I would say he's probably looking at the way that things are going at the moment, the state of the club, thinking he's probably not going to win what he wants to win at Chelsea.
Yeah.
And he's in his prime. But because he's so young, he could spend another 3-4 years at Chelsea. And he'll be 27 in his prime and then go get a big move.
Yeah.
Like, it's... Yeah, and you got... Homesick. Mate, just go up to Manny. It's not like you're in another country. I'm sorry. There's no way. He's probably got his friends down there. He's probably got rooms for them all. I'm sorry. That I found laughable.
Yeah. 200k win plus as well. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. And this London or Manny? Come on.
The thing is, what I will say is, like, I come from a Northern family, man, and Northern family values are different to Southern family values. Do you know what I mean? I would argue it's definitely a lot more like community based and stuff. Like, for instance, Cole Palmer lived with his mum until he moved to Chelsea. Do you know what I mean? So, but what I don't think is a 23-year-old Cole Palmer is like, oh, I want to move back in with my mum. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I don't think that's happening. And I think the thing is, like, I hear a lot of people being like, if Cole Palmer wants to go, he goes. It's like, I just don't think it's that simple, man. I think it's so much more complicated than that. And I think people really do undervalue the level of these contracts that these guys are signing, man. These unprecedented contracts that keep them... The club are in control. If the club want to sell Cole Palmer and it can work for them, then they will sell him. Do you know what I mean? Because what we don't have to worry about with Cole Palmer is the situation we're in with Reece James, where it's like, his contract's going to run out in 18 months. What do we do? That's 8 years away. Do you know what I mean? Where the club is in a position where they're forced to make a decision.
Yeah, he
on Cole
got
Palmer.
an extension, didn't he?
Yeah, he got an extension. Yeah, him and Nicholas
Yeah.
Jackson at the same time got an extension to 2032 or 33 or something. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So we're literally still like 6-7 years away. Or we're 4 or 5 years, sorry, I'll wind it back a little bit. We're 4 or 5 years away from the club being in a position where they're looking at his contract and they're like, oh, okay. And like you've just said, in that time, he's going to be 27, 28. Do you know what I mean? He'll be in his prime by
he'll
that
be
point.
in his prime then.
I really think people underestimate how powerful these contracts are that these guys have signed, man, and they are so unprecedented. Some of these decade-long contracts that they're on, it puts the... Look, it's like Jay said when we last did our... Friday Night Blues with Jay, it's security for the player. Do you know what I mean? It's like in a very long-term security in a very uncertain market, which is football. Cole Palmer, for the next decade or whatever, has got a wedge. He's got a massive, massive wedge. Do you know what I mean? At the end of the day, so that is financial security. And yeah, like I say, man, the thing is, if someone wants to come in and buy Cole Palmer, we get to set the price. That's the truth, isn't it? We're not going to be like, all right, we'll sell Cole Palmer for 60 mil because he wants to go. Like, no, man, if Cole Palmer wants to go, the club will try to facilitate it. I don't think that the club will instantly, if Cole Palmer is like, I don't want to be at Chelsea anymore, I'm having a really bad time, I want to go back to Manchester or whatever, they'll say, okay, cool, you can go back to Manchester if they drop 120 mil on you or 150 mil on you or whatever. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I do think the whole... You know, just because Cole Palmer wants to go, even if it's true, like, let's just pretend that the homesick thing is true at the moment and he really wants to go back to Manchester. I don't think the club will stop him. I think they'll set a very high precedent for it happening because they're not going to get fleeced at the end of the day.
They'll make it very difficult,
yeah.
But they will make it an option for somebody. But yeah, no, I just don't see it happen. I think it is just frustration because he wants to play football, which
Yeah,
of course he would.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and once he's back fit, I think we'll see a different Palmer. I'll be honest. I
Yeah, I
wouldn't be
think so.
surprised if he gets back fit very soon, he scores a goal and he like celebrates, but like overdoes it. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? Like
yeah,
goes, oh,
yeah,
like,
yeah,
"No,
yeah,
I'll celebrate now, won't I?"
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Just to
I
put the
think it
rumors
must.
to bed. But
I think it must have been really difficult, man, because Cole Palmer came to Chelsea as a basically an unknown with only a few flashes
mm,
of brilliance. He became the most talked about player in the world.
mm,
And like I say, he scored that goal for England, and it was all on the up and up and up and up, and it just looked like. And then the next season, he had a
yeah,
significant drop off, and he's still not really come back from that. And then he's talked about it on camera as well. It's like he's like he knows it's all noise and he knows it's ridiculous or whatever, but he's like, it's hard. Do you know what I mean? It's like last year I was the best player in the country, and now all of a
yeah,
sudden I wake up and everyone's saying I'm rubbish. Do you know what I mean? So from a young
yeah.
player's
It's a
perspective,
mental. Yeah,
mentally that's difficult to
from
deal
a
with.
mental perspective, it's going to be tough. And obviously, he's got to deal with his whole injury, which again will create a mental toll on him because he'll go in one day and he's probably feeling good, and then the
Yeah.
next day it's back to square one again. So
Yeah, yeah, 100%, man, 100%. Right, so let's wrap up with a little bit of talk about Crystal Palace because I've built this as a preview, and one thing we haven't done we talked a little bit about Crystal Palace when
yeah,
Burger Buns came in, but one thing we haven't done very much is talked about Crystal Palace. So Crystal Palace Sunday Premier League at Selhurst Park. How do you think it's going to go? Any particular inclusions, omissions? Do you know what I mean? Do you think the rhetoric surrounding Crystal Palace does give us the edge, or do you think it's going to be, as it was in the opening day of the season, a very difficult game?
I don't think it's going to be as tough as the game at the start of the season.
Yeah,
I
neither.
think this is going to what's going on in the club at the moment is going to play a massive part. Not just with Glasner, but players still looking it out. You know, Mateta looking at going and things like that. So, how switched on are they going to be? This is going to affect all the other players around them. So, in terms of what's going on outside of football, Palace are definitely weakened. Now, they're still going to be tough to break down. They have and they always will be because they are a good unit in a sense. But I feel a 2-1. If I'm going to be real, I
Yeah.
feel like we'll win 2-1.
Okay. So we won't drub it. Do you know what I mean? We won't just destroy
No,
them. No,
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 no.
no, no, no. I don't see us putting on a just like an absolute destroying performance for a while. The
Yeah. Okay.
Charlton one is Charlton.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. Of course. Of
no
course.
disrespect, Charlton, but there's a gulf. There's a big gulf.
Yeah.
So you can't. It's like expected. If you get anything less than 3 goals, you've played terrible that game.
Yeah.
But in terms of like a Premier League thumping, I think there's a lot that still needs to be done in terms of tactical wise and embedding himself into the team before I could think that the team would be capable of doing that, especially against a team like Palace, who we know defensively are very resolute
Yeah.
and could cause
Is that resoluteness though largely based on how good Mark Guehi's been for them, and does their defence massively drop off without
Yeah,
him?
well, we'll find out, won't we? Leadership, like
Yeah.
they're not going to replace that. Like club captain, everything. Like he led that team from the back, but they have got experience across that back line.
Who comes in for Guehi? Do you know?
No,
No, I mean,
does Anderson still play for him? Have a look at their back line.
yeah,
Or does
interesting.
he? Because he was at Fulham, wasn't he, and then he went to Palace, or was it the other way around?
I think it might have been the other way around. You know.
Let's have a look. Sunderland was their last game.
Yeah.
So they played back 3. Richards, was it Lacroix and
Lacroix.
Lerma? Okay.
Lerma.
Lacroix.
Lacroix.
Yeah, Tyrick Mitchell would be the left back. I'm just having a look at their bench.
Did they lose?
Yeah, lost 2-1 Sunderland. Their last game out.
So, yeah, this is kind of what I was saying when Burger Buns was getting all up in our grills about it, man.
It was Wirtz, wasn't it? Or Florian.
Wirtz, no, yeah, Wirtz, that was it. No,
Florian,
it
I
was,
went for the most money, but doing terrible Wirtz. Yeah, that's the one.
The Crystal Palace fan words.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Love that. But at the same time, I do think the rhetoric and the narrative surrounding Palace is
Yeah.
so important at the moment. Do you know what I mean? And the thing is, like, our horrible run of form we just went on, for me, is almost entirely down to the fact that Maresca, it wasn't about, is Maresca a good manager or are our players good enough? It was Maresca was letting his beef with the board affect the team and the
Yeah.
performances. Do you know what I mean? So I think if Glasner, look, we talked a little bit about this today, but I think if Glasner is looking for an out, but he wants to get paid to leave and he just doesn't want to do the rest of the season, I think that is toxic, man. That's really toxic. And that
Yeah.
could very well, very negatively affect the rest of Palace's season. And the thing is, nothing like Palace will want to stay as high as they can after they're finished last season.
Yeah.
They're still in Europe and stuff. Do you know what I mean? I think that they're still in the Conference League, aren't they?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, there's still stuff for them to play for at the end of the day. I think that's really, really important. There's still stuff for them to play for. So if Glasner has a couple of look, I think you can probably. I don't think losing to Chelsea gets Glasner sacked. Do you know what I mean? But I think it adds.
Depends what he says after.
Yeah,
That's
true,
the thing, because obviously he didn't. He said some nice things after the last. Was it? I think it was the Sunderland game. He said some nice things after that one. So if he goes down, if he does lose, and they will lose, goes down the same route. There's only so much they're going to put. They already know he's going, and
Is Mateta talking to Juve? Have we had that like confirmed or anything? Because
I
I've heard
think
that,
so. Yeah,
that's that. You know,
I've seen. Yeah, it looks like he want, but
it's
then he
his
wanted out
agent,
in the
innit?
summer.
Yeah, that's true.
I think he wanted the United or to go to United and Palace weren't having any of it. So
Because
I
he's
think
28 now, Mateta, is he? Mateta, I think he's
Yeah.
kind of towards the back end that of he's in his prime at the moment, and he's probably got to make this move soon while he's still reasonably.
yeah,
And if Palace's form drops
Yeah,
off a
28.
cliff, then his own form will probably not
Yeah.
exactly be
he'll
bolstered.
be
by that
29
either,
in
will it?
June.
Yeah, exactly, man.
Yeah.
So this is kind of it, really, isn't it? Like, if he wants to go to like Italy or like an Inter
Yeah.
or an AC Milan or something like that, or Juve, like now's the time, isn't it? So he's got one eye out the door. He's already gone. They've just lost their last game against
Yeah,
Sunderland.
I think Wharton will go in the summer.
Yeah. I
can
mean,
see him leaving.
that's been being talked about for ages, man,
Yeah.
isn't it? I think the only reason they even kept him was because they won the FA Cup. I think they'd already sold him if they hadn't won that FA Cup,
Yeah.
And there's everyone wants Wharton. Do you know what I mean? It's like Elliot Anderson from Nottingham Forest, isn't it? Like Man
Yeah.
U want him, Arsenal want him, Man City want
Yeah.
him, we want it. Like everyone wants Wharton.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that the Palace game is there to be taken advantage of because of the rhetoric that's surrounding it, and I don't expect it to be a pretty win. I expect it potentially to be another ugly win but I don't mind.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I don't mind. Hey, Fabian Collins, welcome back, man. Haven't seen you in a while. Crystal Palace players saw what happened to Zaha. Better to get out sooner rather than later. Yeah, that's a great
Yeah.
shout as well, man. Yeah, because Zaha had the world at his feet, didn't he, at one point?
Yeah.
And he stayed because they wouldn't sell him. I think, wouldn't it? Or something happened and he signed a new contract eventually. And
Yeah.
obviously, again, his career just dropped off a cliff, didn't it?
Yeah.
I remember I remember.
He had that
we
stint
were-
at United as well, didn't he? Just never. I think
Yeah,
he did go to
really,
United, didn't he?
really, really young though. When he was,
Yeah.
I think he was like 19, early 20s or something. Yeah, he went from Palace to United and then went back to Palace, didn't he?
Yeah.
But that all happened really, really quickly. And yeah, his stint at United just didn't go well at all. He obviously turned into a really good player. I remember we were linked it with him at one point. I'd be like,
Yeah.
yeah, man. Yeah, I'm all over
Yeah,
that.
he was
Get him in.
decent. Remember
Um,
Yannick Balassi?
Yeah, man. Yeah, mate. Yannick Balassi was sick, mate. He was so, and it's just like absolutely
Underrated.
Yeah, 100% underrated, mate. American player, wasn't he, Yannick Balassi?
Yeah.
Yeah,
what's
he
up?
was quality,
Yeah.
man. He was so fast. He was a wicked, wicked left winger, man. Really, really good. So, two things I want from you to wrap up, Kai. I want a predicted 11 and I want a score prediction.
Well, score prediction, I'm going 2-1. I reckon
2-1, yeah.
Chelsea beat Palace 2-1.
Yeah.
Starting 11. Sanchez in goal.
Yeah. Well, it's got to be in it because Jorgi's injured.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Might need a new goalkeeper now.
Yeah.
James.
got 10
Actually, no, we've got
time
loads. Yeah,
Yeah.
got fucking loads. James right back.
Yeah.
Fofana, Chalobah,
Hope so.
Cooks. Midfield, Enzo. Oh. Palmer definitely out. Actually, no, you know what? I wouldn't start him anyway, even if he is
No.
available, if I'm
Keep
going to
him
be
for
real.
the Napoli game.
Yeah, I'm going to go Caicedo, Santos,
Yeah.
Enzo,
Yeah.
Esteval, Pedro Neto,
Nice.
and I'm gonna go.
Oh,
Oh,
Daniel Knight saying Gusto
just
at
going
right
Gusto right
back.
back. Yeah, he's
So
good. Gusto right back with the James in midfield.
James instead of Santos.
No, I'm going Santos and Caicedo,
We in
Enzo.
Gunners, didn't we,
Yeah,
for this game?
Esteval up
Delap or
front.
Pedro?
I'm gonna go João. You know
I think
what? I'm gonna go João Pedro. If it was Mark Gurhey at
yeah,
the
yeah,
back,
yeah,
I would
yeah,
say Delap because we're
yeah,
gonna need someone to. But I'm gonna go João Pedro because I think with a bit more intricate play, especially if Esteval starts, I
yeah.
think that would work quite well. I think a partnership between Esteval and João Pedro would work well more so than an Esteval and a Liam Delap, if I'm gonna be honest.
I think the thing with Liam Delap as well, as we've just seen, he's
Yeah.
not ideal for a low block, is he?
No.
Because he gets crowded out at the end of the
Yeah.
day. At least João Pedro can drop deep and try and feed wingers and
Yeah.
create
Drops deep, he'll pull the centre back out and allow
Yeah.
spacing behind for the wingers to run into,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
even the
yeah.
10 to surpass him
Yeah.
if need be.
I think Delap's who we want when we're playing almost like transitional football, or if we're gonna,
Yeah.
like when Leeds came out at us and when Burnley came out at us and
Yeah.
random sort of lower level opposition were coming out at us. That is what I see Liam Delap being for. And I think if we're gonna have a low block and the thing is for João Pedro though, we need another creative player on the pitch, don't we? That's the thing. So Daniel is saying, yeah, we've got Champions League game coming up on Wednesday. That's true. Reece James was taken off at half time in the Champions League as well, wasn't he, as a precaution? So yeah, maybe he doesn't start this game. Actually, that's not a terrible shout. But from that, I would imagine we still see Santos.
Yeah, I mean, we had this conversation, I think, a few streams back, and we were talking about importance and what's more important. I don't think Rosenior at the moment has the luxury of picking and choosing what's important, because if he bottles the league, then we have to go and win the Champions League or the FA Cup to get in the Champions League. He needs to maintain consistency across the board. And these players, I mean, Fofana's been injury-free for a while now. Reece James has been for ages. They have enough to do a Sunday game and a Wednesday game. Like, I'm sorry, we need to be maximising whatever we could do. We need to be getting 3 points with our strongest side against Crystal Palace and playing them against Napoli midweek.
Yeah, there's going to be some changes. Isn't there? This is the thing.
It's not going to be a.
We're past the point of being able to make 8 changes every other game. I think because we need that consistency as well. But no, I do agree. Like Palmer makes sense to me because there's been an issue recently, and maybe bring him on for 20 minutes at the end of the game or something. But yeah, I agree that we don't necessarily need.
I also don't think Fofana's played much football since Rosenior's come in either. I think he's been on the bench quite a lot.
Two, I think 2 starts, isn't it, out of the 4?
Yeah.
But I think that, and Daniel's just said there as well.
Yeah,
about
Fofana.
Fofana can only play 1 game a week. I think we might be getting to the end of that because we've actually seen Fofana be brought on after a game that he played 90 minutes in. So I think he's actually played the last 3 games, hasn't he? Fabian Collins, focus and discipline a greater challenge when playing 2 big games in a week. I 100% agree with that, man. And this is kind of what I've said before. Like I expect us to win ugly in this game. Do you know what I mean? I expect us to win ugly in this game, in the Napoli game, and if we're going to get something out of Arsenal, maybe we're going to win ugly then as well. I think that togetherness, spirit, the intangibles. Do you know what I mean? The intangibles are really, really, really important at the moment. So I definitely think that. Like you said, focus and discipline are going to be really, really important. Let's just try not to get anyone sent off. No silly yellow cards. Everyone keep their cool. Do you know what I mean? And the thing is, like, Palace, we should beat Palace. Napoli, based on their current situation, we should beat Napoli. And then we've got the Arsenal game, that is where we really need to pull it out of the bag. But if we can get these next 2 wins, then all of a sudden we're on 5 wins.
Is it Palace, Napoli, Arsenal? There must be a game in between that.
Nah.
Is it not?
Nah. No, because it was. I did like a preview of the 5 games.
West Ham.
Oh yeah, West Ham. Oh yeah, no, of course. Yeah, I forgot about West Ham. That's a shout actually. Or even so, that's and mate, we've got to be beating West Ham, haven't we? Let's be completely honest.
That's the thing. That's what I'm thinking. Fofana, or because we're speaking about him at the moment, we got Palace. Because I put Palace in more regard than I put West Ham.
Yeah.
Palace, Napoli, resting for West Ham.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. Like West Ham are, sitting at the bottom. They're having a terrible, terrible time. We've already
Painful
slapped
time.
them up this season.
Yeah.
That's the game I'll be looking at. Okay, that's why I can rotate and rest some of these players. But these next two, crunch time.
I kind of
We
think
need
like
to make sure.
I think depending on the situation with Cole Palmer, I think if he's available to play and he's just come back from something, I think for me I'd be happy to see Cole Palmer on for 30 minutes at the end of the game and then play the full Napoli game. But I would be concerned about throwing him in on 90 minutes for both at the moment. Fairbairn Collins, I'm encouraged by Rosenior's habit of being aggressive with substitutions. Almost doesn't matter who starts, he'll introduce players as the situation requires. Yeah, that's true as well. He's definitely making better use of substitutions than Maresca did because Maresca often...
I think he's used every sub every game, hasn't he?
And
Pretty
why
much,
wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like if you're winning, then you can bring players on to shore up. And if you need a goal, you can bring players on to try and there's fresh legs, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like for me, there are very, very few situations where you shouldn't be using all of your subs. Personally, for me.
Yeah. The only positions I do not like changing is the centre backs
Yeah, same.
in a game. Like
Yeah,
that,
unless it's like injury or something, or if someone's having a terrible game. Do you know what I mean? But it's very situational, isn't it? You don't just chop and change centre backs.
It's the speed that you obviously coming on the pitch. You've got to get up with the speed of the game. The way the ball's moving and things like that. In the other positions, even like the full backs, you're covered by somebody. If you make a mistake or you're not up to speed in the centre back role, it's onto the goalkeeper. Most likely they're going to score if the coach is on it. So that's the only position I don't like. But we've seen it. I mean, one of the games they changed the whole back line. Which is nuts to me. But
yeah, it is all a bit crazy, isn't it? But I guess some of that experimentation, I don't think we'll see a huge amount of it, not nearly as much as we did Maresca, but at the end of the day, Rosinier's just come in, hasn't he? So he's got to be like, I need to see everyone play at the end of the day, because otherwise what's going to happen is like, he's just going to start doing what Maresca did, rely on the same people over and over again, not necessarily based on form, based on experience, not trusting youngsters and this, that and the other, and then we find ourselves in exactly the same situation we were just in. So I think that is time to start wrapping it up. This has been a really fun one, man. You guys have had loads of really interesting comments and stuff for us to talk about today. I would like to hand out a massive thanks. Oh, do you know what? Before I do anything, I'm going to do something that I haven't done for the last 2 hours. If you are here and haven't already liked the stream, please give us a little click, man, because it ultimately will, even after it uploads, it will help it get out to more people. Guys, my name is Matt. I'm from the Stanford Sink. If you're here, then you are already subscribed to my channel. But if you haven't subscribed to Kai and Behind the Dugouts, get over to his channel. The link's in the description and it's in the title. Give him a click, give him a sub. Great analysis on football content as well. And if you've been here for the last couple of hours, you've heard it for yourself. So go and give Kai some love. He's on the road to 500 subs and we want to get him there.
Mate. Creeping.
Yeah, mate. 500 before the end of the season. That's the goal, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, I think we can do it.
100%.
I think we can do it. So, Kai, do you have any parting words for our lovely viewers before we wrap up the show?
Thanks as always for joining us, guys. The comments have been going nuts today. Pretty much every other stream, getting involved. Great, reasonable heads. We even get the odd
apart from
banter. Banter fan jumping. But it's always good, I love engaging with everybody.
I love it.
I'm enjoying them, man. The streams are really good. They're really enjoyable, and connecting with everyone it's been great. And let's just get the win this weekend, Chelsea, please. Just keep that train rolling, man. Just keep it rolling.
And I might try and bring on another guest for next week as well, for the next Friday Night's Blues, and then we'll mix it up a little bit and see if we can't bring another opinion into the mix. And by the end of that time, we will have played both Crystal Palace and Napoli. So ultimately, by the next Friday Night Blues, there's going to be a lot to talk about. Nice one, guys. Thank you all very much for sticking around with us until the end of the podcast. If you did, hope you all have an absolutely wicked day. Up the Chelsea. Let's smash it on Sunday. Me and Kai will catch you all very, very soon. Take it easy. Peace.